Growing up, I used to talk a lot of movies with my father, and one thing he'd always say about sequels was the first one's always the best. Now, sometimes he was absolutely right. Just look at Mortal Kombat Annihilation, a movie that honestly doesn't even need much said about it, or Highlander 2: The Quickening. Two sequels that perfectly proved his point. But for every Highlander 2 or Mortal Kombat Annihilation, there's a Shrek 2. A sequel that blew the original out of the water. Or Terminator 2, the movie that turned Schwarzenegger into a full-blown icon. So while sequels can definitely flop, sometimes they come back stronger and even redefine the series. And when it comes to video games, few franchises nailed that second chance better than Saints Row. Back in 2006, we got an epic gang simulator that didn't just try to copy GTA, it went toe-to-toe with it. The first game was a statement, but in 2008, Volition dropped the opus, a game miles ahead of its predecessors, and for many players, the true beginning of the franchise. Even on my first Saints Row video, a lot of people told me that this was their favorite entry. Across YouTube, countless creators still call it the definitive Saints Row experience, and honestly, it earns that title. This was a true masterpiece of mayhem. Welcome to episode 2 of the Saints Row Takeover. Today, we're waking up from our coma in Saints Row 2.
I started out with nothing. Just a kid from the streets with nothing to lose. Once I joined the Third Street Saints, everything started going my way.
All right, everybody listen up. We got some serious to discuss.
You earned your colors today.
I think it's time we give those other crews a wake-up call. The Saints used to own Stillwater, and it seems like the only that remember that is me and Gak.
Shit took me half the time.
Welcome to the Third Street Saints. Let's get down to business.
Before we jump in, I want to say I'm feeling much better now. So thank you to everyone who checked in. Now that I'm back at full strength, if you're a returning viewer, welcome back to the channel. And if you're brand new, welcome. I'm the Retro Phantom, and here on YouTube, I like to do video game retrospectives. If you're enjoying the ride, the best way to support the channel is by subscribing. We just cracked 7K subs, which means we're less than 3K away from my big goal of 10K. I'd love for you to be a part of that milestone. Also, giving the video a thumbs up really helps push it through the YouTube algorithm. And of course, if you're feeling generous, you can always buy me a cup of coffee. Big shout out to Mudo25 for becoming a supporter. With that being said, let's dive into this. Now, if this is your first Saints Row video, here's a quick recap of what went down behind the scenes with the first game. If you've already caught up to the story, feel free to skip ahead to the next section using the timeline below. I'll give you a second to do that now.
Now with Saints Row and Red Faction, what we've done with those products, the games, it's brought people in. So we're seeing a lot higher level talent across the board, and it's pretty neat.
We had this design exercise, this was one of the first times we'd done it at the studio. We invited everyone to participate in coming up with new game ideas.
One of the ideas was this gang simulator. First person shooter, gang simulator, real straightforward, nasty little game. And we were talking about it, and to me the idea of doing that didn't make sense, but what made sense to me was to go where the audience was, but there wasn't a lot of competitors. And for us that was open world. There was nobody doing those games, it was just basically GTA. And my attitude was, there's 8 million people playing those games. No one's been able to succeed. We're a very high-tech group. Why don't we take a shot at this? And instead of trying to do all kinds of different things like role-playing games and first-person shooters and all this sort of stuff, why don't we just try and focus all of our skills into one area, which would be open world.
So we cobbled together this vision trailer by taking, clips from movies and clips from other games and cut it to a hip-hop song name I can't remember, the song I can't remember, but yeah, it was Fuck the Police, that was it. And we played that in the boardroom And there was dead silence afterwards, and the CFO says, is this really the kind of game that we want to be making? And they talked about, we're near LA, gangs are a serious matter here, we have gang fights, we have gang riots, we have a lot of people being killed. Brian Farrell, the CEO, said, someone's going to make games like this, I believe in this, and we're going to make this game. And then we came up with rules like there will be no children, you can't kill the police, which that rule fell away, and I forget what a lot of the other ones were. It was, people were very nervous about what we were doing there. I think some of them were probably worried, someone's going to throw bricks through my window or something like that.
It was an interesting struggle. There were people who were not happy with what we were making there. I mean, on the team, did not want to make that game, did not want to even be associated with that game.
It was called Bling Bling at the time. That was the name of the concept, and it was, back when the term was, I don't know, I can't say cool, but like new.
It was really more of a gang simulator. It was a more serious game. But to me, the sort of wacky humor aspects of Saints Row, for me, I hope for a lot of people, take away a lot of the, oh my God, you're a gangbanger doing these terrible things. You give player tools like driving vehicles and explosives and so forth, and a somewhat real city to do it in, they're gonna do wacky stuff.
It was kind of crazy because it was a brand new structure, and the genre was completely new, and then we decided to go to the 360 rather than doing it on PS2.
The documentation was incomplete. We weren't sure how fast it would be. We weren't sure how much memory it would be. We didn't know what the throughput was going to be from the DVD, which in a streaming open world game is really important.
That was definitely the hardest project I've been on. Technically, it was just extremely difficult, and we had to do streaming worlds for the first time, and I mean that alone is just enough to make some companies just shut down.
I think THQ really believed in the game, believed it was going to be successful. I think a lot of people here thought this is taking too long. There's too much stuff getting cut, thrown out. I'm working really hard here, and this game's not going to turn out well. And I think there was a fair amount of negativity on the team. It was like Red Faction.
We were dealing with a level of complexity that we had never, we'd never tackled before.
Our largest ever budget of $8 or $9 million, I think, and we blew through that by a lot. THQ doesn't like talking about budgets, but.
We'd never been above, I think, about 30, 40 people in a team, and all of a sudden we had 100 plus people on Saints Row.
Really, once we crossed 100, I realized I can't keep up anymore. A name pops in, a name pops out. Someone had a beard, he shaves his beard, I think he's a new employee, I embarrass myself.
Every year, Mike would, at the company meeting, would show a chart of like, how many heads we'd hired or whatever, and it was pretty much going up every year.
Being part of THQ, I don't really think changed the company very much. Team size growing is what changed the company a lot.
What the fuck you think you're doing? Just being civic-minded is all.
People didn't know how the game was going to be received. There was a lot of negativity in the postmortems. Everybody is asked to write a postmortem as soon as possible after the game is done. So it's what you're thinking then, not when you look back and say, well, the game was really successful, it wasn't that bad. So there was a lot of negativity in there. There was a lot of criticism of management.
And then it came out and it did very well, and all of a sudden that changed. So it was very interesting to watch that, the metamorphosis of the people who didn't support the game to all of a sudden, yeah, let's do another one and let's make it better.
All right, so let's rewind. While the first Saints Row was still in development back in July 2005, Volition already knew they had something big on their hands. They didn't just see a one-off title, they were planning a full franchise before the original even hit the shelves. Once that first game launched and pulled in critical acclaim, development on Saints Row 2 kicked off almost immediately. Producer Greg Donovan later confirmed this, saying that Volition always had bigger ambitions in mind. It was planned to be a franchise from the very beginning. And with the first game proving the formula worked, Volition doubled down. By 2007, THQ CEO Brian Farrell was already teasing a lineup of unannounced sequels, making it clear that Saints Row was about to become one of THQ's flagship series. It was around this time that THQ's big plans for the future became public. In an IGN article, when asked to name the 6 key franchises that would define THQ's 2008 fiscal year, CEO Brian Farrell listed them out. Saints Row, Stuntman, which will be released this year, Juice, which is a sequel to the product we launched a couple of years ago, Destroy All Humans, MX, and my favorite, Red Faction. What most people didn't know, though, was that the original Saints Row almost made it to the PlayStation 3. A port was in the works, but THQ ultimately scrapped it to focus on the resources on Saints Row 2. Missing out on that opportunity made a PS3 release of the sequel non-negotiable. To help make it happen, several programmers from the Red Faction team joined Volition on an intern basis, lending their expertise to systems like physics and vehicle handling. Fast forward to November 2007, and Electronic Gaming Monthly put Saints Row 2 on its cover. Right there in bold, the headline asks the question on everyone's mind: can THQ's gang take this series out of GTA Shadow? Even then, the magazine framed Saints Row as nothing more than a road-raging knockoff of Rockstar's Juggernaut. The cover dubbed it a copycat killer, playing into the idea that GTA paved the way for Saints Row. But inside the article, James Sy, the game's lead designer, came to the defense of Saints Row 2. While giving GTA's flowers for defining the genre, he also stood firm that Volition was carving out its own identity and wasn't just trying to play second fiddle. In the magazine article, James Sy didn't shy away from addressing the obvious comparisons. He openly acknowledged Rockstar's influence, saying, "The GTA franchise has obviously had a very big impact on open world games. We have a lot of respect for them. I've owned the games, and I've learned a lot from them. We know they're a beloved franchise, but we think we have a lot to offer too." That was the challenge. Saints Row 2 had to claw its way out of GTA Shadow. Volition wasn't content with being brushed off as a knockoff. They wanted to prove that Saints Row wasn't a copycat. It was a rival. Still, the article leaned heavily into the copycat narrative, lumping the series with examples like Splinter Cell and Metal Gear Solid, Castlevania and Super Metroid, Okami and Zelda, Super Stardust and Asteroid/Geometry Wars. But Sy kept doubling down, making it clear Volition wasn't playing follow the leader. We're definitely making an effort in Saints Row 2 to give the franchise its own identity, to really take a step forward. We've got a lot of unique features. Our combat system is widely praised in the first game, and we're trying to give the players more fighting options, more weapon choices, and things like that. With a $9 million marketing budget, Volition was ready to show the world what they meant. At first, Saints Row 2 was expected to launch in August of 2008, and when the game finally hit E3 that summer, the promotional push was in full swing. The trailer leaned heavy into customization, and to everyone's surprise, it landed. Players were hyped.
Welcome back to another episode of Trick My Life, where we take hood rats, crews, whips, and cribs and customize the hell out of them. Now let's get our asses to work. First up is Randy the Tranny. Now if this lazy piece of crap has any chance of running the streets, he gonna need a lot of help. Look out, world! Not even his CEO would recognize him.
Who you think you were messing with?
But if you're still not getting respect, don't trip. Try something a little different. Now they'll listen to your ass. And how about this sloppy ass excuse of a crew? With a little adjustment, we can turn this into this. Not your taste? Never fear. Trick My Life has all kinds of ways to pimp your crew. And how about that crack den that's just been filling up with bodies over the years? Well, with a little elbow grease and some tailor-made gear, you can have a palace worthy of a street king. So remember, if you're a two-time offended, unemployed, sorry-ass excuse of a player, all you need is a buttload of money and a hell of a lot of customization. Trick My Life.
By this point, the comparisons to GTA were everywhere, and for the first time, the two franchises were actually squaring off head-to-head. Grand Theft Auto 4 dropped in April of 2008, right in the middle of Saints Row 2's rollout. And Volition didn't shy away from throwing shade. They leaned into the idea that GTA 4 lacked replay value, making sure the world knew they weren't just another clone. They were competition.
Would you rather go bowling or steal a septic truck and spray loads of sewage on pedestrians? Would you rather go to the cabaret with a friend or inflict serious bodily injuries to your friend to earn a little insurance money? Would you rather watch TV within the game you're playing on your TV? Or dress up like a cop and rob a liquor store? Streak in public? Join an illegal fight league? Or run security for local celebrities? Or base jump? Car surf? Trailblaze? Compete in demolition derbies? Barnstorm? Or tons of all-new activities that totally kick ass? Now we know you're out there doing those other things right now, and that's fine. But when you're done, we'll be right here, doing some crazy
With momentum building, Volition hit fans with some disappointing news. Saints Row 2 was delayed. Originally scheduled for August 2008, the release was pushed back to October 14th for polish. Even though the game was reportedly in a complete state, Reuters quoted THQ directly. Formerly slated to ship in August, the game is now targeting an October 14th release. The move will allow THQ to further polish the game and put together a stronger marketing strategy prior to its release. But the press wasn't kind. In that very same article, Saints Row 2 caught another stray, being dismissed yet again as a GTA knockoff. If anything, the delay should give you more time to nail down 100% completion status and Grand Theft Auto 4 before the next game like it releases. That was the climate Saints Row 2 launched into. The industry kept treating it like GTA's little brother, and Volition had to fight tooth and nail to prove otherwise. It's the curse of living in the same genre. Just like in the 90s, when Silent Hill couldn't escape constant comparisons to Resident Evil. Once a franchise establishes dominance, everything that comes after gets judged by that standard. Volition knew this, and James Sy continued defending their vision in every interview, hammering home that Saints Row 2 was not a copy, it was carving its own path.
We began designing Saints Row 2 actually even before Saints Row 1 was done, so we've been working on the game for 3 years now. We knew that gamers were in love with the idea of open world urban chaos, so we knew the franchise was going to be successful, and we had a plan to continue to advance the story of Saints Row 1, bring to the table all these new features like cooperative play, increased customization, gang customization, improved combat features, new vehicles, and just really lay that all out for the players so that they have the ultimate choice in an open world game. The city in Saints Row 2 is it's the city from Saints Row 1 evolved several years in the future. So the city itself has grown, it's like 1.5 times as large as it was in Saints Row 1. And we've created several new areas for the player to explore. We've got a university, several underground areas, like an underground cavern, a huge underground mall. There's a hotel board and beach boardwalk area. We've got some islands like a nuclear power plant and a prison. So just that alone gives the player all these new areas to explore. On top of that, all the old areas that they used to know have completely changed as well. The Saints Row neighborhood, for instance, is no longer this gang-infested district. It's a glass and steel utopia where corporations, have taken up residence, and you've got people walking around to the coffee shop in suits and ties all day long. The industrial area of the city, in the southeast side, that's fallen to greater disrepair. The docks have completely crumbled into the ocean. We've got, over 130 interiors for the player to explore, tons of stores, lots of strongholds. So the city has really grown up, out, around, in. The taunt system in Saints Row 2 gives the player the ability to interact with pedestrians and other gang members, either on their side or enemy gangs. You are allowed to pick from any number of taunts that we've got, and by doing this, you can use these taunts when you've killed an enemy, and you'll get respect rewards. It's sort of our little way of giving the player thanks for interacting with the world and discovering these little things as they play. The biggest challenges in developing Saints Row 2 have involved, revamping the streaming system so we can get new vehicle systems in. Certainly designing co-op in an open world game for the first time was something that brought a whole lot of challenges to us. And then also writing a compelling story so that we could continue off from the cliffhanger that was Saints Row 1, and making sure that that made sense and we had something that would draw the player back into our world. Personally, my favorite feature in Saints Row 2 is the cooperative play. But there's a whole lot of things for other players to enjoy as well. People who really enjoy personalizing their game will get a real kick out of the improved customization that we've got of the characters. You can play now as a female character. You can set personality elements, so you can pick taunts and compliments and even walk styles and all those fine-tuning little things that allow you to really make the character your own in the game. With enough time and patience, you can create really anybody with our character creation system. Saints Row 2 will definitely trend towards that kind of risque humor. There'll be a lot of off-color jokes, a lot of crude jokes, sexual humor, and that kind of sort. Saints Row 2 and Red Faction are both open-world games, but our combat systems are very different. And our game in Saints Row 2 really emphasizes open-world chaos. So we don't have arbitrary destruction where you can, deform geometry the way you can in Red Faction, but we give you a whole arsenal of weapons such as laser-guided rocket launchers, remote charges. These are things that you can really use to just blow up anything you see in terms of vehicles, or you can stick them to people, stick charges to people and blow them up and juggle them into the air. We give you automatic shotguns, all kinds of implements of just sheer urban chaos that you can use to blow people away.
For what platforms is it coming out, and when is it coming out?
Saints Row 2 is coming out for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 on August 26, 2008.
So the question was, would all that hard work pay off? Well, on October 14, 2008, we finally got the answer as Saints Row 2 hit store shelves.
In voiceover work, you can, be free and try things that you would never try on camera.
I'm curious if you can keep acting like a douchebag when I shove that gavel up your ass.
It's fun. It's a little more precise acting because you have people telling you, okay, stop, do it again this way, do it again this way, do it again this way.
You're gonna get my boys out of jail and help me destroy the Saints.
You can come up with a million different voices and really let go.
Sweetie, it's not a big deal. Just kill him.
My character in the game is pretty crazy. He's sort of thinks he's the man.
Oh, I'm not a student here. I just come here for put.
And he's sort of dealing drugs, but not so good at it.
Here's today's take.
There are many singles where 50 should be.
Yeah, about that. I couldn't get a hold of some of my guys.
I played the same character in part 1, and I'm excited and happy to be back.
Chief, how's the investigation going?
This is an investigation, Miss Valderrama. I can't get into details.
I thought about just kind of people I know, and I had a few, teenage friends in mind. They were doing these things, and I, embodied them for Shaundi.
This gang shit's got you a little stressed out. You need to relax.
By playing skee-ball.
Oh, yeah.
Most people just smoke pot.
Right. And then they go play skee-ball.
The comedy will play through a lot of different demographics because, people like to laugh when they play games.
Doc said I should be up and murdering in a couple of days. Well, he didn't say murdering, but you get the idea.
Gat, you and I are gonna hit the pyramid.
Well, we don't get to blow shit up in public?
The tough part is the screaming and the yelling. That's really hard.
It's really, really fun. I thoroughly enjoy it because you can be anybody, so I can be as sexy as I wanted to be.
I'm glad you two are having fun, because God forbid we do something about the Saints.
So I had to do a lot of lines where I'm screaming.
You like this? This is what you want?
Back off! Back the fuck off!
I'll kill you and then her next! You know who I am?
In part 2, the character is now a reformed policeman. This time he's more low-key, so it's a little bit easier to do.
Your clients are a bunch of criminals.
Is that the kind of mentality you like to instill in your subordinates?
Huh. Spare me. All right, they're not getting released, and that's that.
I did say some naughty words in this game. And I do some naughty things.
What's going on?
Beer bomb.
No shit.
If I can drink free, I'll meet anywhere.
I think that Saints Row 2 coming out in August is a good position for us. I think having some separation between us and competitive product is good. We got to remember that open world is a genre. There's room for more than just one game in that genre. And importantly, Saints Row 2 is offering, we think, a much different experience in the competition. It's all about over-the-top, memorable moments, hyper-realism, things that are going to make players go, holy crap, did you see what happened when he tried this? And wow, did you see what happened when he did that? It's a very different experience than what some other games are looking to do. I think you combine that overall direction with the fact that we have co-op, and we can play through the entire single-player mission, single-player campaign and co-op, that gamers are going to want to get more than one open-world title this year, absolutely. The aiming mechanic in open-world games is a challenge to implement correctly. Thankfully, in Saints Row 1, our free-range mechanic for the combat system was nearly universally appraised, so we didn't change it all that much. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. What we did was we added some features to it. Number one, the over-the-shoulder zoom camera, so you can pick up enemies from a longer distance a lot easier. It's a lot more satisfying. But the core mechanic of the free look for range combat, we didn't touch that too much because, I think we nailed it in Saints Row 1. We wouldn't want to change at all in Saints Row 2. The central conflict in Saints Row 2 revolves around the player needing to reclaim Stillwater for his own. While he was in a coma, the vacuum left there was filled by 3 new gangs. They're very stylized gangs, very different than the urban gangs that you found in Saints Row 1. They're a little bit more over the top. It goes right with our direction of hyper-realism and over-the-top moments. So you have 3 distinct storylines, or story arcs as we call them, and you can play them in any order that you want. So that story structure is the same as Saints Row 1. However, all the gangs are very, very different and very differently stylized than what you saw in Saints Row 1 as well. Stillwater in Saints Row 2 is very, very different from Saints Row 1. In fact, every district has been touched to some degree or another. We're using the term comic book years, comic book time. The amount of change that you witnessed between the 2 games couldn't have happened in the 10 to 15 years it happened, but it doesn't matter. We're excited about it. We're talking about a 45 to 50% increase in size, 4 completely new underground districts that are a lot more organic, different feeling as far as art direction goes than what you expect from an urban environment. There's a lot of change, so I think what we're going to end up having is people who played Saints Row 1 and are fans of the franchise are going to have a great time exploring the city and looking for new things. And people that are new to Saints Row 2 are just going to be presented with a huge, very discursive and different looking environment that's very well polished and detailed. Saints Row 2 is shipping this year concurrently on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 on August 26, 2008.
Our ultimate goal in Saints Row 2 was to give players an over-the-top, open-world, crazy co-op experience. So you've got so much stuff to do in the city of Stillwater this time around. You can play activities together, play the story missions together, go off and boost cars together, find hit lists and assassinate people together, try out all the new vehicles like helicopters, airplanes, jet skis, motorcycles. You can take these planes up and then just jump out and skydive and get respect points for it and, earn money. You can like join this underground fighting circuit and get in a fight club and beat people up for cash and respect. The city in Saints Row 2 is 1.5 times as large as it was in the original Saints Row. So you've got several new districts to explore. There's a university, there is a nuclear power plant, and on top of that, all the old districts that you knew have all been completely redone as well. The neighborhood of Saints Row is not this dilapidated, gang-infested neighborhood anymore. It's this this huge glass and steel business district with green space and coffee shops on every corner. Saints Row 2 is going to differentiate itself from GTA 4. We think that they left a lot on the table in terms of, what the variety of gameplay that the player can do. So we really want to offer gamers, all these options. They can, throw people around in the world. They have tons of activities. You can grab a septic truck and spray raw sewage in the city and devalue property when you get involved in this real estate war. We actually offer 3 new gangs for the player to fight. Plus, you've got this really shady corporation that you're going to be taking on throughout the course of the whole game. So there's no shortage of new enemies to be taken on in the game.
Saints Row 1 was a very popular open-world game that came out on the 360 in 2006. We knew from the beginning of Saints Row 2 we wanted to retain certain features. Number one, we wanted to retain customization. We wanted to retain the universally praised combat that we had in Saints Row 1. And basically the overall way that the game flow is structured. By that I mean you have 3 main story arcs. You can play through them in any way that you want. You're able to open those missions by participating in executing activities and building up respect. Respect is the currency in Saints Row 2. So those are the 3 major areas where we are actually retaining what we learned in Saints Row 1.
With GTA 4 coming out, why should we be interested in Saints Row 2?
Saints Row 2 offers what we believe is going to be a very unique experience compared to the other open world games coming out this year. Saints Row 2 is all about hyper-realism, over-the-top moments. We want players to leave and say, holy crap, did you see what happened when he tried this? And this is all about grabbing you right from the start and never letting go. We think that, combined with the fact that we are able to allow you to play through the entire story mission via co-op, is a very unique feature for us where players are going to want to buy more than one open world game this year. Saints Row 2 will include a competitive multiplayer mode, but unfortunately we're not talking about specific details at this time. Co-op in Saints Row 2 is seamless integration. What that means is if you and I were on a friends list, you saw me playing, you could request to join my single player game. I would accept your invite. We'd be playing together for however long we wanted. You could drop out and go do whatever you wanted, come back again, or vice versa. Seamless integration, come in and leave whenever you want, and it won't affect the single player progression. Saints Row 2 takes place in Stillwater, but it is a completely revamped Stillwater. People who played Saints Row 1 fanatically are going to see very subtle changes in some districts, and in other areas of the city they're going to say this is completely unrecognizable. Every district has been touched to some degree or another. Touched, I mean it's been revamped by the level artists. Overall it's about 45% larger than Saints Row 1. We've included 4 underground areas that weren't even present in Saints Row 1. I think people who played Saints Row 1 are going to have a great time seeing the differences in Saints Row 2, and people who are new to Saints Row 2 are just going to have a hell of a good time seeing a city that they haven't seen before. My 2 favorite features in Saints Row 2 is obviously co-op, being able to play through the entire story mission in co-op. I think that's phenomenal, and that just by playing it's an unbelievable good time. Above and beyond that, on the more micro level, it's these gameplay elements called diversions. Diversions are it's gameplay that isn't called out in a HUD or map or anywhere in the game. They're hidden. They're designed to incentivize the player to try out things. And when they find a diversion, they are appropriately rewarded. And diversions, for me, at least make it feel like you're always involved in the game. You're always trying out new stuff. You're always exploring, and that just kind of brings the whole open world experience to a close. It's really, so I would say definitely co-op and diversions are right now my 2 favorite features. Saints Row 2 is coming out on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 on August 26, 2008.
How much tits and ass is going to be in the game?
How much tits and ass? There's no nudity in Saints Row 2. We can't do that, unfortunately. Censor and age rating boards across the globe, well, number one, they frown against that when you combine it with the amount of violence and other off-color humor that we have. That really pushes it into dangerous censorship territory.
Here's a quick spoiler alert as I'm about to tell the story behind Saints Row 2. There will also be light spoilers for the first Saints Row as well. So if you're not a fan of spoilers, please advance this video to the gameplay overview section as seen on the timeline below. Let's dive into this. Before we jump into Saints Row 2, let's rewind to how the first game wrapped up. After player takes down all 3 rival gangs, Julius, leader of the Saints, appoints player as his right-hand man. But just as that moment arrives, Julius gets pulled over by the cops. Player does everything in his power to protect Julius, proving his loyalty. Player kills Mayor Winslow, and during Winslow's funeral, he takes out Chief Monroe, a corrupt police chief that had the Saints running in circles. Everything comes to a head on a yacht. Player sits down with Alderman Hughes, who's just been elected mayor. As they talk, we catch a subtle shot of Julius glancing at his watch. Meanwhile, Troy, another Saint, gets revealed as an undercover cop. Then, out of nowhere, mid-conversation between Player and Hughes, the yacht explodes. That's where the first game leaves us.
Oh yes, salting the earth. Now I suppose I could try to pay you off, but really, what's the point? You just say no. Or in your case, stand there looking intimidating, and we'd be right back to where we started. So I figured I'd cut the middleman and get right to the point.
Hey, yo, can you speed this shit up? I want to go to Freckle Bitches.
You're going to die here, son. Make no mistake about that. But if it makes it any easier on you, I'll be sure to thank you in my acceptance speech. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have a party to...
It's been years since that explosion, and Player has spent all that time in a coma. Now in a prison hospital, they finally start to wake up. We learn from the guards that Troy, the undercover cop from the first game, is now chief of police, and he's the only reason the plug hasn't been pulled on Player. As this is happening, chaos breaks out in the background. Another inmate gets shanked and rushed in on a gurney. While the nurse works, she begins peeling away the bandages from Player's face. As they wake up, the guards step in, reminding Player that justice is on the way before leaving to report back to Troy. That's when the man on the gurney whispers over to Player. Pulling back the curtain, Player comes face to face with Carlos. He explains that his brother once rolled with the Saints and that he deliberately got shanked to get close enough to break Player out. At first, Player is skeptical, but Carlos insists he's got a plan. The two team up, escaping the infirmary and fighting their way to the docks. There, they hijack a prison boat and finally make it off the island. For the first time in years, Player is free, and as the boat speeds away, Carlos fills them in on everything that's gone down since the explosion.
That's the road?
It is now.
Jesus, when did this happen?
When Ultor got involved.
The clothing company.
After Hughes was killed in that bombing of yours, Ultor picked up the pieces. Now they're everywhere. On TV, on billboards, in stores. Hell, if you ever forget who Ultor is, just look towards Saints Row and you'll see that fucking eyesore. Here we are.
Where can I find the other Saints?
What other Saints?
What you talking about?
Without anyone to lead them, the Saints fell apart. Once the Brotherhood, Ronin, and Samedi showed up, the few that were left dropped their flags before they got killed.
Well, that's fucking great.
Look, I know you didn't ask for it, but my advice is to just keep your head down. The cops are looking for you and a lot's changed. I say you just go buy a beer and soak up as much information as you can.
Thanks, Carlos.
Anytime.
After escaping with Carlos, Player finally gets a chance to breathe. They clean up, grab some new clothes, and head to a bar. On the TV, news reporter Jane Valderrama fills everyone in on what's been happening with the Saints. We learn that Johnny Gat, one of the most loyal and dangerous members of the 3rd Street Saints, was arrested a year earlier after trying and failing to take out Troy Bradshaw. The charges: 1 count attempted murder and 387 counts of first-degree murder. Now, Johnny's facing trial, and with it, the death penalty. Before Player can take it all in, a Brotherhood thug barges in and demands the bartender change the channel, but Player isn't done watching. Without hesitation, they smash a bottle over the thug's head and keep their eyes on the screen. That's when Valderrama announces the trial's verdict is coming soon. Johnny could be found guilty or innocent any moment now. Player doesn't waste time. They fight through Brotherhood members standing in the way and make their way to the courthouse. Inside, Player busts Gat out, saving him from death row just before it's too late.
Mr. Gat,
You've been convicted of over 300 murders. Do you really expect this appeal to work?
I figure with the statute of limitations, it really should be closer to 250.
There's no statute of limitations for murder.
Why the fuck not?
Watch yourself, Mr. Gatt.
Or what? You'll hold me in contempt of court? You're already planning on giving me the chair. You think I'd give a shit about you not liking me? Fuck off.
I'm curious if you can keep your cavalier attitude when 2,000 volts are running through your body.
Oh yeah? And I'm curious if you can keep acting like a douchebag when I shove that gavel up your ass.
My client would like that stricken from the record.
What's that?
Drop it.
Anyone hit and need a lawyer?
Shit. About time your burnt ass woke up.
You okay, Johnny?
Yeah, aside from almost getting sent to the chair, I'm fucking great. Hey, you look different. You do something with your hair?
You ready to get out of here?
With Gat free, the two blast their way through waves of officers, even taking down the judge before hijacking a car to make their escape. On the ride, Gat starts catching Playa up on everything that's gone down while they were out. He reveals he's still with Aisha, but he's also been locked up for 2 years and 31 days. During that time, the guards gave him hell. At least until Droid became chief of police and started pulling the strings to ease up on him. This shocks Playa. Nobody had Troy Bradshaw climbing from undercover cop to chief of police on their Saints Row bingo card. Gat keeps on going, filling in more blanks. Benjamin King of the Vice Kings, he wrote an autobiography. Julius, missing. And Dex, as far as Gat is concerned, his name is Mud. What's even crazier is how fast Troy is promoted and how obsessed he's become with finding out what really happened on that yacht explosion years ago. Playa decides it's time to pay the police station a visit. Inside, he listens to wiretaps and uncovers some game-changing conversations. The first is between Dex and Troy. Dex admits he knows Troy's a cop, but he doesn't care. He's done with the streets, having just landed a cushy corporate job with Ultor. The second wiretap captures Troy interrogating Julius, pleading with him to finally shut down the Saints and move on. Julius half-heartedly agrees to see what he can do. But it's the third wiretap that drops the bombshell. Julius was the one who set Playa up on the yacht. And hearing Troy's reaction, it's clear even he wasn't happy with how far Julius went.
What the fuck was that? It was the only way. I said talk, not set off a goddamn bomb.
Relax, Troy. The Saints are finished. Don't try to find me.
Armed with this new knowledge, Playa heads straight to Troy's office. There, he digs through Julius's file and finds something else, Dex's phone number. When Playa calls Dex, he tells him to meet them at the old church, promising they'll reveal everything Julius is hiding. Playa then makes his way to the church, waiting for Dex. But when the doors swing open, it's not Dex who walks through. It's Julius. Turns out Dex played them both, inviting each one without telling the other. The moment is tense. Playa immediately pulls out a gun on Julius, still burning with rage over the yacht explosion. He pistol whips him, demanding answers, until Julius manages to break through the fury long enough to warn him. Dex set this meeting up for a reason. Before they can piece it together, a smoke grenade crashes through the window. Masako, Ultor's heavily armed private military, storms the church. Forced to fight side by side, Playa and Julius take down wave after wave, pushing their way out before the cops can close in. They hop into Julius's car, gunning through the city while helicopters and patrol cars close in. After a high-speed chase, they finally lose the heat and end up at the amphitheater. It's here that Playa and Julius share their final moment together, one that ends in betrayal, pain, and closure.
Just like old times, player.
Yeah.
Jesus. I thought we were past this.
Not by a fucking long shot.
Don't you get it? The Saints didn't solve a goddamn thing. Drugs were still being pushed. Innocent people were still getting killed. All we did was turn into vice kings that wore purple.
Jesus Christ, you sound like a pussy.
I sound like someone who's not a sociopath.
You want to be the killer with a conscience? Fine. Drop your flags and write a book like King, but you never should have came after me.
You telling me, if I would have asked you to walk away, you would have said yes?
Fuck no, this is my city.
Jesus, you haven't learned a goddamn thing.
Wrong. I've learned that being in charge is better than being a bitch who keeps his mouth shut and does what he's told. Your time's over, old man.
What's happened to you?
I woke up.
You owe me, player. If it wasn't for me, you would have died on that street corner.
If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been in a goddamn coma.
But I guess that makes us even.
Not really.
After Julius's death, Player heads back to Aisha's house to link up with Gat. The two share beer, and it's here that Aisha comes downstairs, shocked to see Player back on their feet. She compliments them on their hair, but Gat quickly cuts in, saying they got business to discuss. The two agree on one thing. It's time to remind people who the Saints are. Player decides they need to rebuild the crew and take back the city. When Aisha asks where this so-called gang meeting is going to happen, Player and Gat glance around her house. Aisha shuts that idea down immediately. So the pair ride out to find a new base of operations. Since Ultor turned the old church into a tourist trap, they settle on the abandoned mission house. But it isn't empty. They find members of the Sons of Samedi squatting inside along with some homeless folks in the basement. After clearing the place out, Player and Gat make themselves at home. Now comes the work. As they start cleaning, Gat's already grumbling about manual labor. He points out the obvious. They can't run a gang without a gang. The old crew is either dead or locked up thanks to Troy, so the Saints need new blood. Player starts recruiting lieutenants. First is Carlos, the one who broke him out of prison, and together they repo a car. Next is Pierce Washington, who proves himself by taking down Ronin members alongside Player. And finally, there's Shondi, who sealed the deal after some Dukes of Hazzard style stunt driving. With 3 lieutenants by his side, Player rallies them with a call to action speech, much like Julius did in the first game, and officially stepping up from just Player to the boss.
What the hell is going on?
I had to do some canonizing. Hold up. You're next.
Wait, what?
Sorry about that.
Where'd you find these guys?
Like I said, I made some calls.
You guys actually hang out down here?
I don't know. Add a flat screen, some throw pillows, and a hookah, and this place would be all right.
You definitely need a stripper pole in this bitch.
Definitely.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So what do we do now?
We listen.
All right, everybody listen up. We got some serious shit to discuss. The Saints used to own Stillwater, and it seems like the only motherfuckers that remember that is me and Gat. I think it's time we give those other crews a wake-up call. Now, I ain't gonna lie, a lot of shit's changed since I've been out of the game, so I'm gonna need some help. Pierce, you on the Ronin. I wanna know who's calling the shots and what businesses they running.
Done.
Shondi, you got the Sons of Samedi.
It's gotta be them.
Fuck you say?
It's cool. I got this.
Carlos.
The Brotherhood. I'm on it.
All right. Once we're done here, talk to one of these guys. I have something for you to do. It's our time now. Let's get this shit started.
Much like in my last video, I'll be breaking down each gang in their own section. We'll start with the Brotherhood, then move on to the Ronin, and lastly, the Sons of Samedi. After the boss's call to action, he gets a phone call right outside the mission house. It's Carlos. Mero, the leader of the Brotherhood, is requesting a sit-down workout deal. The boss and Carlos make their way to the caves, where they find Mero calmly sitting alone on a bench, no backup in sight. Suspicious, the boss pulls a gun on him, but Mero stays completely unfazed. That calm confidence impresses the boss enough to lower his weapon and hear him out. Just as the conversation gets going, cops suddenly swarm the area, forcing the three of them to fight their way out. After a shootout through the caves, they hijack a boat and ride with Mero back to his hideout. It's there the real conversation begins, how to divide the city. But greed gets in the way. Neither is willing to compromise, and the tension builds even more when the boss notices Donnie, a familiar face from the first game and Lynn's old lover. The failed negotiation cements in. The Saints and Brotherhood aren't going to be allies. They're going to be enemies.
So here we are.
Jesus, it's like a coked up sideshow.
Pretty impressive, huh?
Aren't you worried about being in the open?
People know to stay away. How's my truck coming?
It'll be ready for the competition.
Thanks, Donnie.
You know that guy?
Later.
You're back!
Come on. You expected anything less?
Hi, I'm Jessica.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, I'm Carlos.
I'm still Jessica. You know, you remind me of my old house cleaner. I'm kidding. I was kidding.
Babe, you want to count the cash?
Sure.
Yo, Matt, you ready to work?
Hey, aren't you the guitarist for the Feed Dogs?
Don't encourage him.
Listen, lady, you guys met at one of my concerts, so I don't want to hear it.
Don't you think you have enough tattoos?
Brother, I got a lot of canvas left. So let's get back to business. The Brotherhood is about to come into something big, and I think the Saints are going to want to get in on the ground floor.
So what's the offer?
2080.
I'm assuming I get the 80?
Yeah, sure you do.
You really expect me to take 20 and say thanks?
On your hands and fucking knees.
Is this a joke? I used to own...
Used to is right. Time's passed you by. Now you're a has-been with some burn scars.
I suggest you shut the fuck up before...
You're kidding me, right?
Hey man, be cool.
You really think that a couple of washed-up bangers like you and Gat have a chance against the Brotherhood?
We'll see. Let's go, Carlos.
Honey, you want me to have someone take care of them?
Nah. They'll be dead soon enough.
Planning his next move against the Brotherhood, the boss returns to a familiar haunting location, the spot where Lynn was drowned by William Sharp back in the first game. Just as expected, he finds Donnie there, placing flowers in the water, still mourning the loss of his lover. Donnie turns and comes face to face with the boss, who already has a gun aimed at his head. Using Donnie as leverage, the boss forces him to rig several Brotherhood trucks with explosives. Once the job is done, the boss drops him back off at Mero's hideout. Donnie, shaken, confesses what happened to Mero. Mero is furious and lashes out at him, ready to beat him to a pulp. But his crew talks him off the ledge, reminding him Donnie was a victim, not the enemy. Donnie insists he kept quiet about the Brotherhood shipment, and with Jessica's reassurance, Mero reluctantly lets him go. Later, on a train ride, Carlos and the boss talk strategy. Carlos admits he hasn't been able to dig up much, but he overheard whispers about a shipment. With nothing else going on, the boss takes matters into his own hands. He steals toxic waste from a nuclear plant and delivers it straight to Mero's tattoo parlor. The timing is brutal. Mero's in the middle of getting a massive face tattoo when the poison sets in, burning his skin and leaving him screaming in agony. Feeling like he's finally landed a blow, the boss gets a phone call. He assumes it's from Carlos, but when he picks up, Jessica is on the other end. She mocks him, turning his joke about Mero's tattoo back around with the horrifying reveal. The Brotherhood has kidnapped Carlos. Desperate, the boss scours the city, interrogating Donnie and even beating him down to get answers. Eventually, he tracks Carlos to the docks, but it's already too late. The Brotherhood has tortured him, chained him to the back of a truck, and dragged him through the streets. When the boss finally finds him, Carlos is barely alive, begging for release. And in one of the most emotional moments in the entire series, the boss makes a painful choice. Not long after, Shawnee is hanging out when Jessica, Meryl's girl, pulls up to a bank. Jessica nearly runs her over, sparking an argument. In the middle of it, Shawnee overhears Jessica bragging about making a massive deposit tied to the Brotherhood shipment, something that could seriously hurt the Saints. Shawnee immediately calls the boss, filling him in on everything she's heard. The idea of Jessica walking around with that kind of money and the fact she was tied to Carlos's death gives the boss all the reason he needs to act. He storms into the bank, takes Jessica hostage, and drives her straight to the university arena. There, in front of a roaring crowd with zero mercy, the boss makes sure the Brotherhood pays the ultimate price for what happened to Carlos.
I'm gonna kill you right here, right now.
No, you're not.
What's this?
Do me a favor. When you check the trunk, just remember you should have offered me something better than 20%.
Back at the mission house, the boss sits down with Pierce and Shawnee. For the first time, he shows some hesitation. Revenge against the Brotherhood has cost him dearly. Carlos is gone, Jessica is dead, and in all that bloodshed, he still doesn't have intel on the shipment. The three start brainstorming, and Shawnee comes up with an angle: hit the tattoo artist. Since the Feed Dogs band, led by the tattoo artist himself, is playing a show, it's the perfect time to crash the party. Pierce and the boss hijack a pyro truck and roll up to the concert. Chaos erupts, and in the end, the tattoo artist gets an unexpected retirement. But before his final curtain call, he gives up what they need. The shipment is coming in by boat. Later, the boss is laying low at a strip club when Pierce bursts in with bad news. The Brotherhood is muscling in on Saint's turf. The boss heads out and wipes out the lieutenants while the cops swoop in and arrest the survivors. That arrest sets off the next domino. Meryl storms into Ultor's office, demanding action. Here, we meet Dane Vogel for the first time, the slick and calculating face of Ultor. Vogel brushes him off, but Meryl doesn't take no for an answer, literally holding Vogel out of the window until he caves. Terrified, Vogel makes a call to none other than Chief of Police Troy Bradshaw. He orders Troy to release every Brotherhood member or risk Ultor using the media to destroy his reputation. Troy isn't happy, but his hands are tied. Not long after, the boss is walking down the street when Jane Valderrama breaks the news. The Brotherhood has been released.
In a surprising turn of events, several members of the Brotherhood are being released today. A previously thought open-shut case turned into a fierce legal battle as several high-power attorneys fought tooth and nail for their clients' freedom. Curious about the court proceedings, I spoke to Chief of Police, Troy Bradshaw.
My personal opinion on the trial doesn't really matter. They were found innocent by a jury of their peers.
So you think they were guilty?
I'm sorry, Jane. Listen, I have to get back to work. Hey, why don't you try talking to Dane Vogel?
Mr. Vogel, what's Ultor's interest in the trial?
Ultor has no interest in the trial other than to see criminals get put behind bars.
So there is no truth to the speculation that the Brotherhood's lawyers are in Ultor's pocket?
Jane, we've donated millions of dollars to the Stillwater PD, as well as rebuilt the shattered community of Saints Row. I understand that everyone likes to pick on the big corporations, but this latest groundless attack on Ultor's integrity is just ridiculous.
Behind me, the men and women loading up onto these buses are being given another chance at freedom. But the question remains, are we also giving them another chance at a life of crime? I'm Jane Valderrama, Channel 6 News. Back to you, Jack.
Fuming over the Brotherhood's release, the boss strikes first, destroying the transports and crippling their numbers before they can even regroup. Mero, enraged, storms back into Dane Vogel's office, but this time, Vogel isn't the same frightened executive he was before. When Mero tries to threaten him again, Vogel calmly reminds him that dozens of armed guards have rifles trained on him at that very moment. Forced to back down, Mero listens as Vogel makes it clear Ultor is finished with the Brotherhood. The shipment Mero was banking on, Ultor is claiming it as compensation for getting the Brotherhood members exonerated. Meanwhile, the boss and Shawnee unwind at an arcade, playing skee-ball. Mid-game, Shawnee drops some intel. A dock worker reported Mero's been shaking people down for info on the shipment. Just as the boss is leaving, the lieutenants call in with confirmation. The shipment is loaded with guns and ammo. If the Saints can claim it, they'll finally have the upper hand. At the docks, the boss storms the cargo hold, mowing down Ultor security forces and Brotherhood members alike. Inside, he finds more firepower than he could have ever imagined. After securing the cache and holding off Brotherhood reinforcements, the Saints walk away armed to the teeth. Back at the mission house, the boss delivers another rallying speech. With the shipment secured, it's time to go straight to Mero. The Saints ride out to Brotherhood stronghold, and the boss and Mero finally collide in a brutal shootout. But when the dust settles, neither side comes out on top. The clash ends in a stalemate, leaving the final confrontation still ahead.
The shooting stopped. You think it's over?
Your little buddy screamed like a bitch when we trussed him up. How about you, bitch? You gonna scream?
Mero, get out of here! Get in, man!
Not long after, the boss gets a call from Mero. Tired of the back and forth, Mero challenges him to settle things once and for all at the Ultor Dome. When the boss arrives, it's clear Mero came prepared. He's lined up an arsenal of vehicles ready to turn the boss into roadkill. But Mero underestimates just how much the Saints gain from that stolen shipment. Armed to the teeth, the boss dismantles Mero's fleet piece by piece, cutting through everything the Brotherhood throws at him. In the end, there's nowhere left for Mero to run. The battle closes with Mero's death, and with it, the Brotherhood is finished.
Any last words?
Go to hell.
Sorry, didn't catch that.
Now let's move on to the Ronin storyline. Back at the mission house, the boss, Gat, and Pierce start planning how to strike. Pierce comes up with a full-blown mock-up of a casino, pitching an elaborate Ocean's 11 style heist to take down the Ronin's biggest moneymaker. Gat isn't having it. He shoots a plan down, insisting they skip the theatrics and hit the Ronin head-on. With that, Gat and the boss head straight for the casino. On the ride, Gat mentions the name of the man pulling the strings, Shogo Okuji. He's young, reckless, and running the Ronin's operation stateside. The boss takes note. Once inside the casino, chaos erupts. The boss and Gat tear down through waves of Ronin while Pierce rallies more Saints to the scene. By the time Pierce shows up, Gat and the boss already have the Ronin's money in hand. The plan now is to clean the cash, but first, they decide to stash it at Aisha's house. Meanwhile, on the Ronin's turf, Shogo Okuji is living the high life, calmly getting a massage while talking with his right-hand man, Junichi. Junichi is worried Shogo's father won't be pleased when he hears about the casino disaster, but Shogo shrugs it off, showing no concern for the fallout. Back at Aisha's place, the boss, Gat, Pierce, and Aisha regroup. They go over the casino job and start laying out the next moves, setting the stage for a war with the Ronin.
Why is there a big pile of money on the coffee table?
It's a little complicated.
We shot up a Ronin casino and stole the cash.
And you brought that shit here.
Ish, who else we gonna trust with the money?
But the Ronin know you stole it, right?
Well, they wouldn't have if we would've went with my plan.
Yeah, well, if we went with your plan, we'd still be talking about it.
Fuck off, Gat.
Excuse me?
Shut up. We're on.
Casino heist has left the police baffled. Standing next to me is Chief of Police Troy Bradshaw. Chief, how's the investigation going?
This is an investigation, Miss Valderrama. I can't get into details.
Can you say anything about the 3rd Street Saints' involvement?
I don't know what you're talking about.
This leaked security footage shows the leader of the Saints, recent fugitive and Saint Lieutenant Johnny Gat, as well as an unknown accomplice assaulting the casino. Obviously, the 3rd Street Saints are back after a long hiatus.
All right! Woo!
Oh, God.
Unknown accomplice my ass!
Miss Valder...
Also, reports claim that Ultor is pressing the police department for a quicker response.
One of Ultor's investments was robbed. Of course they want their money back.
All right, we've had our 15 minutes.
Let's clean this money.
After the casino job, the Saints are sitting on a mountain of dirty cash. Pierce calls the boss, asking if he knows anything about laundering money. The boss shrugs and comes up with his own plan. Spend big around town, flip the assets, and sell them for more. Slowly but surely, the Saints' net worth start climbing. But success has consequences. Shogo's father, Mr. Okuji, isn't impressed. Furious, he makes it clear over the phone that the Saints are pushing too far. The news that Mr. Okuji is flying to America rattles the Ronin. Shogo panics and orders Junichi to rally the crew and strike back. Meanwhile, back at Aisha's house, Gat drags in a captured Ronin spy. When the man spits on the boss, Gat slams his head into the table and makes him eat the glass. Bleeding, the spy admits that Mr. Okuji is on his way to America. Gat executes him on the spot, leaving Aisha furious about the mess he's made in her home. While Gat is stuck cleaning the carpet, the boss steps outside to deal with waves of Ronin soldiers headed for the hideout. Across town, we see the other side of the war. Shogo meets with Dane Vogel at Ultor headquarters. Vogel, always calculating, is nervous about his company's protection money being at risk. Shogo, cocky as ever, brushes it off and insists he has it under control. But Junichi, more serious and loyal, takes matters into his own hands. He starts plotting to hit the Saints where it hurts the most. That night, the boss and Gat return to Aisha's house, only to find the Ronin waiting. Junichi and his men have captured Aisha, holding her hostage inside. What follows is one of the darkest turns in the entire story.
I don't take much pleasure in this.
Then let me go.
That depends on you.
Aisha doesn't care that I'm stopping by, does she?
Fuck no. Aisha doesn't go out much. She loves company.
You're gonna kill me, aren't you?
If you're calm, help us find the money, and do what I say. I give you my word you will live.
Ish, you home?
Johnny, it's a
Ish! Cat, get out of the way!
After the brutal shootout, with Gat badly stabbed, the boss shields him until they can get a ride to the hospital. Gat is rushed into the ICU, his life hanging in the balance. From there, the boss calls Pierce, giving him the full rundown of what happened. With Gat out of commission, the boss asks Pierce to step up and dig into Mr. Akuji, who is rumored to be arriving in Stillwater any day now. Back at the mission house, Pierce brings the boss the passenger manifest. Every first-class seat on Akuji's flight has been purchased, meaning he's not traveling alone. The two head to the airport, ready to give Akuji a bloody welcome to America. But instead of finding their target, they walk into a full-blown ambush by Ronin lieutenants. After the fight, the boss realizes something is off. Maybe they hit the wrong flight. Meanwhile, we cut to Mr. Akuji and Junichi driving through town. Shogo calls, eager to speak with his father, but Akuji refuses to even acknowledge him. Instead, Junichi answers, explaining he saw the boss at the airport and diverted Akuji away to keep him safe. That loyalty earns him his place at Akuji's side, while Shogo's incompetence pushes him further into disgrace. Later that night, the boss and Pierce unwind at a bar, sharing drinks and talking about Gat. The phone rings. It's Shogo Akuji. In a desperate bid to win back favor, he gives up Junichi's location. Seizing the chance for revenge, the boss heads to Kanto, where he faces Junichi and waves of Ronin soldiers. In the end, the boss kills Junichi, finally avenging Aisha's death. The fallout cuts deep. We see Mr. Akuji with his son, disgusted by both Junichi's death and Shogo's failures. The bond between father and son fractures even further, setting the stage for the Ronin's downfall.
Is everything okay, Father?
He's dead, Shogo. Junichi is dead. And all I'm left with is you.
Is that so bad?
It's worse than you could ever imagine.
Father,
Leave me in peace, Shogo.
I'll make you proud, Father. I'll finish what Junichi started. I'll kill Gat. I'll...
Do whatever you want, Shogo. Just do it away from me.
Later, the boss returns to the hospital to check on Gat. He tells him straight up Junichi's been turned into sushi. Gat cracks a grin, but the moment doesn't last long. As they talk, Ronin hitmen infiltrate the hospital, gunning down security guards in the halls. Gat asks about Aisha's funeral, and the boss promises they're waiting for him before they say goodbye. Just then, the Ronin cut the power. With the hospital under siege, the boss knows they can't stay. He throws Gat onto a gurney and guns their way through the corridors, blasting Ronin soldiers left and right until they finally escape. They load onto a plane and make it back to the Saints' hideout, battered but alive. Meanwhile, over at the Ronin hideout, Dane Vogel arrives to meet Mr. Akuji for the first time. Vogel tries to play the corporate card, reminding Akuji that Ultor has an image to protect. With the hospital turned into a war zone, Vogel demands Akuji rein in his men and strike a new deal to keep things clean. But Mr. Akuji isn't interested. Proud and headstrong, he rejects Vogel outright, dismissing any attempt at a compromise. With ties between the Ronin and Ultor severed, Vogel turns to the next best option, the Saints.
This is a hell of a place you got here. I mean, it's a good thing I had my tetanus shot, but beyond that, it's, cozy.
Do I know you?
Name's Dane Vogel, who works for Ultor. I remember he swung by the church and offered Dex a job a while back.
You're shitting me. Who's Dex?
Dex was a man who had higher aspirations than being a thug. You can't blame him for moving on up.
He was a fucking sellout.
You call him a sellout, I call him a millionaire.
What do you want?
I want to help you.
If I need any Ultor Unlimited sunglasses, I'll steal them.
So you're familiar with our products?
Fuck off, Vogel.
Do you want our help or not?
Maybe.
Yes. No.
Well, this is a well-oiled machine.
What do you got?
We've recently severed our ties with the Ronin.
Oh, you're breaking my heart.
I know where the Akujis lay their heads. I doubt any of your lieutenants have that information.
I don't know. Sean just fucked a lot of guys.
Gat's talking sense. How do we know it's not a trap?
That part's easy. I'll wait for you here. If you don't make it back, one of your boys can take me out.
Yo, why don't we just cut the waiting part?
I think the waiting part is very important.
Gat, you with me. Pierce, you're babysitting Vogel.
You sure you don't want me to take out this asshole now?
Save the bullet for Akuji.
Both Gat and the boss ride out to the Ronin motel, blasting their way through waves of enemies before bombing the place sky high. With the Ronin hideout reduced to rubble, the boss heads back to the Saints base and checks in with Pierce. He gives him the all clear to release Vogel, then asks a simple question. Why did Vogel turn to the Ronin for protection instead of turning to the Saints? Vogel doesn't dodge it. Back then, the boss was in a coma, Julius had gone missing, and the Saints were leaderless. The Ronin were simply the next best option. Meanwhile, over at the Ronin motel, Mr. Akuji and Shogo mourn their devastating losses. Akuji fumes at the destruction of their stronghold, while Shogo vows to take care of things. His father remains unimpressed, telling him flat out that he'll continue to be a disappointment. The story comes to a head at Aisha's funeral. Rain pours down as the Saints gather to say goodbye. But the service is interrupted when Akuji and the Ronin crash the cemetery. Akuji starts talking nonsense at the boss and the Saints. While Shogo recklessly taunts them, still grieving, Gat makes it clear he's not killing anyone at Aisha's funeral. But once the service is over, it's open season. Shogo doesn't take the hint. He pushes too far, forcing the boss to retaliate. A firefight breaks out in the rain-soaked graveyard, and the boss cuts down Ronin lieutenants until he finally gets his hands on Shogo himself. Instead of finishing the job, he drags Shogo to Gat, who keeps his word not to kill him then and there. Instead, in a chilling moment of vengeance, Gat makes sure he pays for Aisha's death in the most brutal way possible.
Where are you taking me? Let me go!
Get up. Get up.
Please, stop.
Not so fun when you're fighting someone who isn't tied to a chair, is it?
I didn't kill her!
You ordered it.
I'm sorry.
Well, that brings her back, doesn't it? You couldn't even let her have a burial, you fucking piece of shit.
No, please. No!
Kill me, but don't do this! Just kill me, damn it! Don't do this!
Back at the mission house, Gat and the boss unwind at a makeshift shooting range, joking that Shogo's probably fast asleep 6 feet under by now. Their banter is cut short when Pierce walks in, saying someone is here to see the boss. Skeptical at first, they're surprised to learn it's Mr. Wong, an old friend of the boss. Mr. Wong thanks the Saints for eliminating Shogo Akuji, then opens up about his own history with the Akuji family. Years ago, Shogo killed Mr. Wong's dog, Sadie, and ever since, he's carried a bitter grudge against them. Before the conversation can go further, waves of Ronin soldiers swarm the hideout. The boss, Gat, Pierce, and Wong fight side by side, cutting down enemy after enemy. Eventually, Mr. Akuji himself arrives, triggering a brutal firefight. After taking heavy losses, Akuji retreats, but the war isn't over. Later, at a Chinese heritage festival, Gat accompanies Mr. Wong and his translator through the crowded streets. Suddenly, Ronin assassins make their move. Gat opens fire, covering Wong's escape. But Akuji steps out and challenges Wong directly. The two face off in an intense sword duel, blades clashing, and the translator frantically calls the boss for backup. By the time the boss arrives, Wong is barely holding on. The boss steps in, seizing a blade and engaging Akuji in a final showdown. The duel ends with the boss besting Akuji once and for all, cutting down the Ronin's leader and scattering what remains of his army.
Did you really think you could match my skill?
No. I'm gonna cheat.
Finish it.
Put Wong on the phone. Hey, Wong, I want you to hear something. Come on, be a good sport. You hear that, Wong? You're welcome. Thanks.
When I escape, the world will not be big enough for you to hide in.
Luckily for me, you're gonna burn to death in a few minutes. Your son never should have fucked with my friends.
Now let's move on to the Sons of Samedi storyline. Back at the mission house, the boss is sitting on the steps when Shaundi shows up with a light bulb. She breaks it, tells the boss to smoke it, and as he inhales, she explains this is Loa Dust, the Samedi's #1 product. Her idea, if the Saints can snag enough of their supply, learn how to make it, and sell it cheaper, they can steal the Samedi's customers right from under them. To kick things off, the boss heads to the university to jack some product. Along the way, he eliminates a Samedi dealer named Mr. Gabby, cutting off one of the smaller distributors. Meanwhile, in a limo across town, the Sons of Samedi leaders hold a meeting. Inside are the general, who runs the gang, and his right-hand man, Mr. Sunshine. They question their partner, Veteran Child, a DJ who handles distribution, about the dip in income. Veteran Child admits he lost contact with a few dealers, but he assures the general that he has everything under control. Back with the Saints, the boss meets up with Shaundi again and asks if she's cracked the Loa Dust formula. She admits science isn't exactly her strong suit. but she knows someone who can handle it, an old contact who just happens to be locked up. That someone is Laura, a familiar face from the first game's drug trafficking missions. The boss stages a jailbreak, blowing up a generator to bust her out. He drops Laura off at home, where she reunites with her husband, Toby, another name Saints Row veterans will recognize from the first game. Now married, the two are ready to help. Not long after, Laura arrives at the mission house with good news. She successfully replicated the Loa Dust recipe. While the Saints celebrate the breakthrough, Shaundi remembers something else. She once dated Veteran Child, and he used to brag about the Samedi growing their product on a farm near campus. With that intel, the boss decides it's time to burn the farm to the ground and cripple the Samedi supply chain. Luckily, Laura is one step ahead. She calls her husband Tobias, who just so happens to be a helicopter pilot.
Hello.
Glad you can make it.
You know, a nice robin egg blue would really spruce this place up.
I was thinking more of an avocado.
Ooh.
Hey, can we, talk about the Loa Dust already?
Right. Sorry. That stuff is very sophisticated. I won't bore you with all the details like acetone and trichloroethane, but there is definitely some very good pot in there.
As long as we can make the shit, it could have embalming fluid in it for all I care.
Making it won't be a problem. I'll give the recipe to Shaundi.
Now all we gotta do is stop those fuckers from producing anymore.
Well, seeing as they're turning out so much product, they'd need a... Oh my god, I'm an idiot.
What's up?
In college, I dated this guy who would sell for the Sons, and he mentioned that they used to grow all their shit on a farm off campus.
And this is coming up for the first time. Why?
I forgot.
You're right. You are an idiot.
Hey!
Thanks for your help, Laura.
Where are you going?
I got a farm to burn down.
We can't just charge into that place.
You don't have to.
What do you mean?
Tobias is outside in the car. He's got a pilot's license. Why don't you just have him fly you over the farm?
You gotta be kidding me.
Does it look like I'm joking?
Everybody, get out!
Perhaps they did not understand you.
What's up, guys?
The Saints raised my farm.
That's some shitty luck.
A helicopter-mounted machine gun has nothing to do with luck.
Well, how... Yo, can you cut that shit out? You're freaking me out. How did they find out about the farm?
Why don't you tell me?
I don't know what...
Stop lying.
Dude, I said I don't...
And he said, stop lying.
I'm telling you the truth, man. I don't know how they found out.
Then you are not very useful, are you?
I don't know how they found out, but I got some ideas.
Enlighten me.
I used to date this bitch Shaundi, and there's a chance, a small fucking chance, that I might have gotten stoned and told her about the farm.
Where is this Shaundi?
Word is she rolls with the Saints now.
Let him go. Veteran Child, you will go kill this Shaundi. If you fail to do this, Mr. Sunchild will burn you alive. Does this sound fair? Excellent. Let's be on our way.
Under the threat of being burned alive by his own bosses, a desperate Veteran Child sneaks into the Saints' hideout, where Shaundi is busy weighing out bags with Loa Dust. In the struggle, he knocks Shaundi unconscious and tries to drag her out, but that's when the boss walks in. A shootout erupts, and though the boss pushes him back, Veteran Child manages to use Shaundi as a human shield and slip away. The chase is on. With Pierce guiding him over the phone, the boss tracks Veteran Child to a club called On Track. Using flashbangs to separate him from Shaundi, the boss finally corners him and guns him down. Shaundi is pulled to safety, while in the background, the general's limo slowly drives away, watching. Later, the boss checks in on Shaundi, only to find her drowning her stress in booze at a frat party. While there, her ex spills some intel. He spotted Samedi members hauling chemicals into a building. Acting fast, the boss storms the dust labs, blows them sky high, and eliminates the lead technician. With the operation's bleeding cash, Mr. Sunshine urges the general to deal with the boss directly. But instead of a sit-down, the boss gets jumped in the street by two zombie thugs. He wakes up in the general's limo, high as a kite on Loa Dust. The meeting goes nowhere, and when they try to toss him out, it turns into a wild gunfight. Somehow, the boss escapes, still half tripping from the drugs. But there's no rest. Shaundi calls in a panic. The Samedi are tearing through the mission house. Despite being high and disoriented, the boss rushes in, blasting through waves of attackers and saving Shaundi once again. Exhausted, he finally crashes, getting the best sleep of his life.
How you feeling?
Comfortable. And very hungry.
You need help standing up?
No, I'm good here.
You sure?
Oh, yeah.
You know, there could be some more guys looking for you.
You could take them, right?
Probably not.
Yeah, that's good.
Fucking lightweights.
Back at the hideout, Pierce is restless, sick of sitting around while Shaundi calls the shots. He insists on riding with the boss to prove he can do more. Their bickering is cut short when Shaundi bursts in with intel. Helicopters are airdropping cargo over Samedi territory. The boss lets Pierce take the wheel while he blows the choppers out of the sky. The hits keep coming for the Samedi. When the general hears the news, furious at losing his entire Loa Dust pipeline, he takes it out on Mr. Sunshine, literally chopping off his ear before storming off. Left to pick up the pieces, Sunshine grows desperate. He rallies a mob of junkies, promising them all the Loa Dust they can carry if they attack the Saints. At that same moment, the boss, Shaundi, and Pierce are moving the seized product from the Samedi's drug factory to the Saints' hideout. The mob swarms, but the Saints hold them off and successfully relocate the stash. Just when they think they can breathe, two stragglers make a grab for the dust. One gets panicked by a speeding car, while the other is interrogated at gunpoint. He cracks, spilling the truth. Mr. Sunshine is holed up at a meatpacking plant. Shaundi offers to tag along for payback, but the boss refuses. After what happened with Veteran Child, he won't risk her again. Alone, the boss storms the plant, cutting through Sunshine's forces until they finally confronts the man himself in the assembly room. Sunshine leans on his powers, trying to overwhelm the boss in a bizarre, otherworldly battle. But in the end, his tricks aren't enough. The boss puts him down for good, bringing the Samedi one step closer to their collapse.
This fight is far from over. You think that will stop me?
For fuck's sake, die!
With Mr. Sunshine gone, only the general remains. Back at the hideout, the boss and Shaundi discuss how to track him down. Shaundi suggests hacking into the police traffic cameras to follow his limo. The boss hesitates to bring her, still worried after everything with Veteran Child, but admits he doesn't know how to hack the system. Reluctantly, he agrees to let her tag along. Disguised as repair techs, the two infiltrate police headquarters and break into the monitoring system. Once the hack is complete, they blast their way out of the station and return to the hideout. There, the boss sets up the surveillance gear and orders the crew to keep eyes on the cameras until the general is located. Their patience pays off. The Saints spot the general moving through the city in his limo and quickly mobilize. At Round Square Shopping Center, the boss and Shawnee set up an ambush. When the general passes through, the Saints ram his car off the road, forcing him into a firefight. Bullets fly between the Saints and the Samedi until the general retreats into a nearby mall. The boss and Shawnee chase him down, only to face his personal turret-mounted bulldog. After a brutal fight, they destroy the vehicle, eliminating the general in the process. Standing over his fallen enemy, the boss calmly pulls a cigar from the general's pocket, lights it, and walks away with Shawnee at his side, knowing the Sons of Samedi have been wiped out for good.
Is he dead?
You got a light?
That's it, huh?
Seeing as we stole their drugs, cornered the Loa Dust market, took their territory and killed their leader, I'm pretty sure the Sons of Samedi are fucked.
So, how'd I do?
Well, he's dead and you're not, so I'd say pretty goddamn good.
So you think I could take Gat?
Not on your fucking life.
What about Pierce?
Probably not.
Veteran child?
Seeing as he's dead, I'm pretty sure you kick his ass.
You're an asshole.
With the Brotherhood, Ronin, and Sons of Samedi all wiped off the map, only one faction is left standing, Ultor. And their story kicks off with Dane Vogel, always the businessman, giving a slideshow to a room full of investors. Vogel paints Shivington as a rundown ghetto field with undesirables, but to him, that's just opportunity. He tells investors to imagine glass towers, spotless streets, and communities scrubbed of poverty, something that, in his words, a lesser company could never achieve. The strategy? Simple and brutal. Pit the gangs against each other in Sunnyvale to drive down property value, then swoop in and buy the land cheap. Funnel the money into the Stillwater PD to crank up police presence, let the gangs tear themselves apart, and once crime drops, Ultor profits as the neighborhood transforms into prime real estate. To Vogel, it's all about the future. To the Saints, it's the start of their next war.
As many of you know, the restoration of Saints Row is a tremendous success, but that was just the beginning of what Ultor has in mind for Stillwater. This is Shivington. Once a pristine set of tenement homes, this neighborhood has devolved into a dangerous ghetto filled with undesirables such as these. Now, I'm sure a lot of you are wondering, ugly buildings, unwashed masses, what the hell is Ultor thinking? My friends, we are thinking about the future. Picture this, glass towers, clean streets, and no one below the poverty line trying to wash your car. Impossible? For a lesser company, maybe. Now, I'm not here to make idle promises or vague predictions. No offense to all of you politicians out there. No, I'm here to show you how we're going to do it. Now, obviously, before we can remodel Shivington, we need to own the land. So how do we do that? By directing the gangs towards Sunnyvale. Not only are we lowering the number of our detractors, we are lowering the property value as well, which means when we buy the land, the savings get passed on to you, the stockholders. The gangs cripple each other. We direct funds to the Stillwater Police Department, they increase police presence, and pretty soon, all those nasty little gangbangers are gone. Crime stops, property value goes up, and now your population looks like this.
After Vogel's speech, Ultor wastes no time making their move. The boss is ambushed inside a nightclub by Ultor's elite special forces, the Maseko. Fighting through the chaos, the boss manages to escape, only to get a call from Johnny Gat, who reveals he's also being hunted. Gat urges the boss to check on Pierce and Shawnee, and sure enough, the two are under attack as well. The boss saves them, but it's clear Ultor has finally declared war on the Saints. Back at the hideout, the crew examines the body of a dead Maseko soldier and uncovers their connection to something called the Pyramid. Furious at Ultor's aggression, the boss calls a sit-down with Gat, Shawnee, and Pierce at a Mexican restaurant. There, Shawnee explains what she uncovered. The Pyramid is a massive Ultor R&D facility hidden underneath Mount Claflin. The boss lays out a plan. Shondi and Pierce will tear through the streets, wrecking Ultor property to create a distraction, while Gat and the boss infiltrate the pyramid itself. After causing chaos around Stillwater, the boss meets Gat at a secret sewer entrance to the facility. Inside, the two plant 3 bombs across separate labs and barely escape in a bare APC before the entire complex erupts in flames. Meanwhile, Ultor holds a tense boardroom meeting. Vogel, as always, insists everything is under control, but the executives aren't buying it. Furious over the destruction of the pyramid and Vogel's unchecked ego, they make it crystal clear, if he can't eliminate the Saints, being fired will be the least of his worries.
Dane, while your project has been yielding positive results, the board is a little concerned.
I don't understand.
The Saints are out of control.
That was the point.
When you budgeted funds for force majeure, we didn't realize compromising the pyramid was what you had in mind.
We're dealing with violent criminals. Are you really surprised they might do something, I don't know, violent? The pyramid was not going to last forever. It's better to spin this now when we are the victims than when Channel 6 does an undercover expose.
Dane, fix the problem.
Okay, maybe I'm being too obtuse. Let me try this again. There is no problem.
We've had enough of your ego.
My ego is what got you this far.
Finish off the Saints, or being fired is the least of your worries.
Is that all?
Take care of this, Dane.
Of course I will.
Back at the Saints' hideout, the boss receives a mysterious package addressed to them. Inside is a newspaper clipping announcing Ultor's fundraising gala aboard a luxury yacht. Seeing the perfect chance to strike back after Ultor's recent attacks, the boss decides to crash the party. Pierce tries to talk him down, warning it could be a trap and reminding him of their history with yachts. The last one, after all, left him in a 5-year coma. But the boss doesn't care. Once on board, the boss unleashes chaos, cutting down every executive in sight and leaving the gala a bloodbath. Watching atop the Phillips building, Dane Vogel observes the carnage with a cold satisfaction. The truth comes out. The executives on that yacht were none other than the Ultor board of directors, and the package Vogel sent it himself. By manipulating the boss into wiping out his enemies, Vogel not only retaliates for the earlier threats, but consolidates total control of Ultor. Now untouchable at the top, Vogel calmly tells his secretary Jamie to schedule a press conference, ready to spin his victory to the public.
Mr. Vogel, will you be needing a car to take you to the party? Sir?
Oh, that's all right, Jamie. I think I'm gonna skip it this year. Oh, and Jamie?
Yes, sir?
Please move my things to my new office and set up a press conference.
You were promoted, Mr. Vogel?
I'm about to be.
Dane Vogel holds a press conference right in front of the old Saints Row Church. Now promoted to chairman, he promises Ultor will be taking even greater strides forward. Under his leadership, proudly announcing Monica Hughes has greenlit his revitalization of Shivington. But while Vogel spends his corporate future, the Saints are already moving in. Johnny Gat takes position on a rooftop with a McManus 2010 sniper rifle, ready to end Vogel on the spot, but a security guard spots him, leading to a brief scuffle. The gun misfires, the guard goes tumbling off the roof, and Vogel is quickly hustled into his reinforced job limousine. That's when the boss makes his move, emerging from the crowd with a handgun. Gat provides cover from above as the boss gives chase, even towering the Phillips building, and immediately locks it down. The boss isn't done. He hijacks the Ultor tornado attack helicopter, strafing the building and tearing down its security stations. And one of the most iconic moments of the game, the boss shoots out Vogel's office windows, leaps from the cockpit mid-flight, and crashes directly into the tower as the helicopter explodes behind him. Inside, the boss fights through Vogel's personal guards before cornering him against the shattered glass. Vogel panics, trying to reason his way out, but the boss doesn't give him the chance. Mid-sentence, he shoves a gun in Vogel's mouth and pulls the trigger, sending him crashing backward through the window and plummeting to his death. With Ultor's chairman eliminated and Stillwater finally free, Pierce and Shondi arrive just as Tobias swoops in with his helicopter. The Saints climb aboard and ride off into the sunset, closing the book on Saints Row 2.
Here, you're upset, you're frustrated, and you've got a gun, which I'd really like it if you would put that away.
You should have thought of that before you sent a team to wipe out my gang.
I tried telling the board that going after the Saints was a big mistake.
They should have listened to you.
Believe me, right now I am agreeing with you 100%, but you have to look at the positives. You're alive, they're dead, and you have the Saints' #1 fan running Ultor.
We missed it?
Told ya. Now pay up.
Where the fuck were you guys?
Traffic. What?
He's not joking. The roads have been blocked off.
You see Gad out there?
Oh, he's fine. He's still out there killing cops.
Figures.
What is it?
It's done. Time to pull out of there.
You sure? Get the fuck off of me! I mean, I'm not running out of ammo anytime soon.
I'm sure. See you back home.
Later.
Who you calling now? All right. Welcome aboard. So what do we do now? This is our city. We do whatever the fuck we want.
When looking at Saints Row 2, it had one tall order, both behind the scenes and in the story, and that was to create its own identity. In promotion, magazine articles constantly compared it to GTA, painting it as the underdog trying to prove itself. Meanwhile, within the narrative, the boss is fighting to give the Saints their own identity, rebuilding the gang from the ground up. It's one of the moments where art really does imitate life. When the boss tells Gat they need to remind people who they are, it isn't just about bringing the gang back. It feels like the game itself saying, "We're back."
We definitely need to remind motherfuckers who we are.
Now, there's two ways to look at Saints Row 2. First, as a standalone title, and second, as a continuation of the first game. And when you take that second lens, you start to see a story built on patterns, echoes, and evolution.
All right, everybody listen up. We got some serious shit to discuss.
Listen up, people. I got some serious shit to discuss.
We'll start with how Saints Row 2 creates his own identity. First and foremost, the tone of the game is darker, with only a few lighthearted moments breaking through. If you look back at the first game, Lynn's death was one of the most emotional gut punches. The way Playa and Julius sat there mourning her loss was heavy. But in Saints Row 2, that darkness becomes the norm. Playa killing Julius, Aisha being decapitated in front of Gat, Carlos's brutal torture, ending with the boss having to put him out of his misery. Each arc pushes further into tragedy, showing that finding your identity often comes through testing the waters, failing and learning from those failures. When you play the story in a certain order, taking out Julius first, then the Brotherhood, then the Ronin, and lastly the Sons of Samedi, you see the boss's failures stacking up and how those failures eventually shape their success by the time you reach Ultor. For most of the game, the boss is essentially doing their Julius impression, which in itself was Julius doing his best Benjamin King impression. And when Julius finally confronts the boss before his death, he calls it out. He knows exactly where the Saints are heading.
Don't you get it? The Saints didn't solve a goddamn thing. Drugs were still being pushed. Innocent people were still getting killed. All we did was turn into Vice Kings that wore purple.
If the Saints became just another Vice Kings, their identity would be lost forever, forgotten for who they truly are. And that's the biggest contrast between the first game and the second game. The addition of personality. In the first game, player was just a blank slate, a stand-in for the player. You didn't really see their origin story until the very end when Julius appointed them the second in command. But in Saints Row 2, the game rewinds and redefines them, like Rip Van Winkle waking up after years of being asleep. The coma changes the boss, and when Julius asks why they become so ruthless, so heartless, the answer is simple.
What's happened to you?
I woke up.
That was the boss's first real step into becoming the boss. Waking up, realizing the world they once knew was gone, and that the Saints had no identity left. You see it hit especially hard when the boss interacts with Vogel, asking why Ultor partnered with the Ronin instead of the Saints. The look on the boss's face says it all. This isn't just business. They're hurt because the first family they ever known fell apart thanks to betrayal from someone they trusted.
How come you went to the Ronin and not us?
You were in a coma and we couldn't find Julius. Timing is everything.
The events of the first game directly shape everything that happens in Saints Row 2. The boss's coma isn't just a plot device. It's the reasons the Saints fell apart. Julius's betrayal didn't just destroy the gang, it also created space for Troy to rise through the ranks, going from undercover cop to chief of police. With no Saints to hold the city together, new gangs moved in and claimed power over Stillwater. So when the boss finally awakes, they're not just coming back to the row, they're walking into a city that's completely changed. That's what makes the story so heavy. The boss has to rebuild from nothing, facing rival gangs that filled the void while also trying to cement their legacy once and for all. But the real obstacle isn't just the gangs, it's Ultor, and that connects directly back to Julius's betrayal. Because of him, Ultor was able to rise unchecked, using Mayor Hughes' death as a political scapegoat to tighten their grip on Stillwater. This is where continuity really comes into play. In the first game, the Saints were used as pawns on Mayor Hughes' chessboard. In Saints Row 2, that same role gets passed down to Ultor. The Saints are no longer just reacting to street-level rivalries. They're clashing on institutions, corporations, and systems of control. And that's what makes Saints Row 2 feel bigger. It's not just about proving who the Saints are anymore. It's about proving they can't be controlled.
I liked Ultor a lot more when they just made clothes.
What you do to piss these guys off?
Fuck if I know.
Yo, I signed on for killing gangbangers, not fighting some SWAT team from hell.
Don't worry about it, Pierce. We'll take care of it.
The fuck you mean don't worry about it? These guys are packing space-age shit.
Hey, Shondi, you date anyone who worked at a place called the Pyramid?
No.
For real?
All right. You two find out whatever you can about this place. I want to take these assholes apart.
This is where we start seeing echoes of the first game. There's an old saying about history repeating itself, and Saints Row 2 leans into that idea hard. Julius once warned that the Saints were becoming nothing more than Vice Kings that wore purple. At first, it just sounds like a recycled speech, but when you dig deeper, you realize it's more than that. Julius looked up to Benjamin King, and the boss looked up to Julius. That cycle of influence creates patterns, and the parallels between the two games are everywhere. It's safe to say where Saints Row was battling to get out of Grand Theft Auto's shadow, the Saints were battling to get out of the Vice King shadow. But like both, there are many parallels. Take Troy, for example. In the first game, he never went anywhere near the Vice Kings. In Saints Row 2, he avoids the Saints entirely, refusing to even speak on them when given the chance. It's almost like he's playing both sides, balancing two lives like he always did.
Can you say anything about the 3rd Street Saints' involvement?
I don't know what you're talking about.
This leaked security footage shows the leader of the Saints, recent fugitive and Saint Lieutenant Johnny Gat, as well as an unknown accomplice assaulting the casino. Obviously, the 3rd Street Saints are back after a long hiatus.
Alright! Woo!
Oh, God.
Unknown accomplice my ass!
Miss Valder. Also, reports claim that Ultor is pressing the police department for a quicker response.
One of Ultor's investments was robbed. Of course they want their money back.
Then, take a look at the muscle. In the first game, it was Big Tony. In Saints Row 2, that role is Johnny Gat, the enforcer, the blunt instrument, the heart of the gang. Shawnee fills a Tanya-like space. Free-spirited, wild, with a reputation that gets mentioned more than once.
I know where the Akujis lay their heads. I doubt any of your lieutenants have that information.
I don't know. Sean just fucked a lot of guys.
Gat's talking sense.
And Pierce, he mirrors Warren Williams. Both are intelligent guys who constantly clash with authority. Pierce argues with Gat when his plans get dismissed, and he pushes back against the boss because he wants to do more.
Sorry, girl. No self-respecting brother plays hacky sack. Why you got the cheerleader calling the shots and not me?
Right here.
Pierce, I put you in charge of the Ronin. What more do you want?
I can do more to help.
Do you know how the Sons of Samedi are still moving product after we torched their farm and drug labs?
No.
Then shut the fuck up.
Why you gotta be like that?
I'm just saying, don't bitch unless you got a solution.
Guys.
My solution is to do more than wait around for one of the 600 guys Shonda used to fuck to give us a call.
There's a bunch of helicopters dropping cargo over Samedi territory.
How the hell you know that? Gotta be fucking kidding me.
I'll tell you what, Pierce. If you want to watch me blow up some helicopters, you're more than welcome.
When you listen to Julius's warning about the Saints becoming purple Vice Kings, you start to see how right he was. The boss has to balance loyalty and power with this new crew in the exact same way Julius did with the old one. And the parallels don't stop there. Johnny Gat is tied directly to the Ronin, who just so happened to wear yellow, the same color as the Vice Kings, the same gang he had to oversee. In the first game, Aisha's death was faked. In this one,
Johnny,
it's all too real. In the first game, Gat got shot in the leg. In the second, he gets stabbed in the abdomen. It's almost like the same story replaying itself, just with darker consequences. The Brotherhood echo the Rollers, with their obsession for muscle cars, and once again, Donnie is caught in the middle as the mechanic. In both games, the Saints lose someone close. In the first game, Lynn drowned. In the second, Carlos was dragged to his death. Both times, the boss takes an emotional hit. But there's a pattern even in survival. Against the Carnales in the first game, the Saints stay strong. Against the Sons of Samedi in the second, Shawnee lives through being kidnapped. In both games, no matter how personal the war gets, there's always a bigger hand pulling the strings. First it was Mayor Hughes, now it's Ultor. So when you look closely, Saints Row 2 really is Saints Row 1 all over again, just darker, sharper, and with higher stakes.
Alright, everybody listen up. We got some serious shit to discuss.
Listen up, people. I got some serious shit to discuss.
Shawnee, you got the Sons of Samedi.
It's gotta be them.
Fuck you say?
Troy, you dealing with the Vice Kings.
Not a chance.
Fuck you say?
Once we're done here, talk to one of these guys. I have something for you to do.
Once we're done here, go talk to one of these guys. They'll have something for you to do.
It's our time now. Let's get this shit started.
It's our time now. Let's get this shit started.
And one of the clearest parallels can be seen in how Pierce was treated. And that goes back to the shadow of Dex.
Name's Dane Vogel, who works for Ultor. I remember he swung by the church and offered Dex a job a while back.
You're shitting me.
Who's Dex?
Dex was a man who had higher aspirations than being a thug. You can't blame him for moving on up.
He was a fucking sellout.
You call him a sellout, I call him a millionaire.
In the first game, Dex was the smart one, the tactician, the guy with the plans, and yet he turned his back on the Saints when they needed him most. That betrayal left a scar, and by the time Saints Row 2 rolls around, the boss isn't about to let history repeat itself. Pierce is intelligent, strategic, and often has the right ideas, but because of Dex, the Saints limit his influence. He gets dismissed, overshadowed by Gat's brute force and Shondi's wild charisma. Whenever Pierce pushes to do more, Boss and Gat shut him down. It isn't that he's not valuable. It's that they're afraid of what could happen if his head ever got too big.
Why is there a big pile of money on the coffee table?
It's a little complicated.
We shot up a Ronin casino and stole the cash.
And you brought that shit here.
Ish. Who else we gonna trust with the money?
But the Ronin know you stole it, right?
Well, they wouldn't have if we would've went with my plan.
Yeah, well, if we went with your plan, we'd still be talking about it.
Fuck off, Gat.
Excuse me?
Shut up. We're on.
You can compare this to how Dex and Gat were in the beginning, when Julius would sick Dex on Gat as a babysitter.
Man, fuck that. I'll take King out.
Johnny, it's not that simple.
Bullets still kill motherfuckers, right? Doesn't get much simpler than that.
Keep an eye on your boy.
I don't need a fucking babysitter, Julius.
Keep an eye on your boy.
You already see animosity between Dex and Gat, and that's starting to shape and Pierce and Gat as well. Just look here when they were planning out a Vice King's mission, and you see the divide between the two. That is similar to the divide we just saw in the Ronin mission.
Johnny, your idea of a plan is taking the biggest hammer you can find and smashing whatever's in your way.
Well, that sounds like a plan to me.
Yeah, a shitty one, as your whack-ass robo-leg clearly proves.
Oh, fuck you.
Next time you try that cowboy shit, you might not walk away at all.
No, seriously. Fuck you.
Look, I worked out a plan that will hurt the Kings and put minimum risk on you.
How much murdering do I get to do?
None.
Your plan blows.
This fear isn't just about Dex, though. It goes back even further. In the first game, Benjamin King dealt with the same exact problem inside the Vice Kings. His right-hand man, Warren Williams, turned on him. The classic case of the smartest guy in the room thinking he could do better than the boss.
Do we now?
You've been putting yourself before the crew.
Keep talking, little nigga.
If you hadn't wasted our time sticking your nose up them white boys' asses, we could have owned the whole damn game by now.
I told you before, we ain't getting into that shit.
And why the fuck not? That's where the money is. Man, if you got down with that shit back in the day, the Carnales would have been ghosts right now. But you didn't, did you? You were too much of a pussy then, and you're too much of a pussy now. Fuck!
You forgot who you talking to. My name is Benjamin motherfucking King. I'm the man who took my crew from being a bunch of baby gangsters in Sunnyvale to being one of the most influential and feared forces in the goddamn city. You know how I did that? I said, you know how I did that?
Mr. King?
I did it by knowing when it was time to build, when it was time to watch, and when it was time to act. I'm through carrying your punk ass. If I were you, I'd drop them damn flags and get the fuck out of here before I erase your ass.
I ain't going nowhere.
You ain't hearing me, son. I said...
Yo, fuck that. You ain't hearing me.
What is this?
I built, I watched, and now I'm acting.
That betrayal forced King to question his own leadership, and it left an imprint on how Julius and later the boss view people closest to them. So when you look at Pierce, you see the paranoia. The boss respects his intelligence, but also fears it. Because if Ultor or anyone else recognized Pierce's potential and gave him the right offer, he could become the next Dex. And that's the irony. By holding Pierce back, the boss tries to keep him loyal, but in doing so, they risk proving Julius's prophecy right. The Saints are doomed to repeat the same cycle as the Vice Kings.
I got the passenger manifest.
Thanks.
I'm not Shondi, so I had to, you know, do actual work to get that.
What, you bribed someone?
Why you gotta be an asshole? Akuji bought every first-class seat on the plane. Looks like he's traveling with friends.
That'll make killing him a lot more interesting.
Well, if you want to welcome him to America, you better hurry. His plane's gonna land soon.
Now, I want to do something different. I want to combine my character analysis with the gang analysis. And we're going to start with the Third Street Saints. In the first game, the Saints were scrappy upstarts. They weren't the strongest or the most feared gang in Stillwater, but they had something no one else did: Julius's vision of unity. The Saints were about survival and respect, carving out territory by pulling together the lost and the broken. Playa, still just the new recruit, represented the player stepping up into that vision. The gang was defined less by individuals and more by the cause, taking the role back from the Vice Kings, the Carnales, and Rollers. By Saints Row 2, the Saints have changed completely. That vision is gone. Julius's betrayal left the gang fractured, and Playa's coma left them leaderless. When the boss wakes up, the Saints are no longer a presence in Stillwater. It's just a memory. That's why so much of the story is about reestablishing identity. The boss isn't just fighting gangs, they're fighting for the Saints' name. And you can see the tonal shift in how the gang operates. In the first game, the Saints still felt like underdogs. In the second, they're brutal, efficient, and unafraid to cross lines that Julius would never have allowed. They take revenge personally, and they rule with fear as much as loyalty. In many ways, Julius's warning that the Saints will become Vice Kings that wore purple comes true here. The Saints aren't just street gangs anymore. They're an institution of power. But what really marks the change are the individuals who now stand beside the boss. Johnny Gat remains the constant, the muscle and heart of the Saints, but now he's joined by new lieutenants who reshape the gang's identity. Now, let's look at the Saints themselves, starting with the boss. In the first game, Playa was mostly a blank slate, a silent stand-in for the player. Their personality was whatever you brought to the controller. But in Saints Row 2, that changes. The boss has a voice, an attitude, and for much of the game, they come off as cold, brutal, and ruthless. On the surface, it looks like they only care about revenge and power. But the deeper you go, the more you realize that coldness is a mask. Underneath, the boss is fighting to protect the first real family they've ever had. You see that side of them open up with Carlos. From the very beginning, they treat him with surprising patience, teasing him at times, but also showing him genuine respect. There's even a moment on the train where the boss admits,
Carlos, I like you, I do, but you got a lot to learn about being a lieutenant.
which is rare, honestly, from someone who usually hides behind sarcasm and intimidation. When Carlos is kidnapped and tortured, the boss is shattered. Having to end Carlos's suffering leaves a scar, and from that point on, you can feel how much they don't want to lose anyone else. That's why they break their back to save Shandi from Veteran Child, diving headfirst into danger because they can't stomach watching another homie like Carlos die. It's why they're so reluctant to let Shandi tag along on missions afterward. Their cold no isn't about control. It's about fear of losing her.
I'm coming too.
No.
This is total bullshit. You can't just cut me out of the loop.
I can do whatever the fuck I want. It's one of the perks of running a gang.
Is Pierce talking shit again? Because I don't care what.
This doesn't have anything to do with Pierce. If a strung-out DJ almost took you out, a crazy motherfucker like Sunshine will tear you apart. I don't have time to babysit you.
You won't have to babysit.
Stick to tactics, Shandi. This conversation is over.
And over time, that fear turns into trust. By the later parts of the game, the boss allows both Shandi and Pierce to step up, proving that leadership isn't just about giving orders. It's about learning to believe in your people.
Yo, Shandi, where the hell are you?
What's up?
Get up, we gotta get moving.
What, you're actually taking me along?
I can't get a hold of Pierce.
Thanks, I guess.
You're welcome. Now get up, we gotta catch that limo.
Even the final battle against Ultor, we see how far the boss has come. At one point, they risk themselves to protect Pierce, showing that this isn't just a gang anymore. It's a family. The boss, who once seemed like nothing more than a hardened-edged killer, evolves into someone who would do anything for the people closest to him. In the end, that's the real heart of Saints Row 2. The boss's coldness was never indifference, it was armor. And throughout his story, that armor cracks, revealing compassion, loyalty, and love for the Saints. By the time the credits roll, the boss doesn't just have power. They finally have the family they always wanted.
We missed it?
Told ya. Now pay up.
Where the fuck were you guys?
Traffic.
What?
He's not joking. The roads have been blocked off.
You see Gad out there?
Oh, he's fine. He's still out there killing cops.
Figures.
What is it?
It's done. Time to pull out of there.
You sure? Get the fuck off of me! I mean, I'm not running out of ammo anytime soon.
I'm sure. See you back home.
Later.
Who you calling now?
All right. Welcome aboard. So what do we do now? This is our city. We do whatever the fuck we want.
Carlos enters Saints Row 2 with something to prove, not just to the boss, but to himself. He's young, eager, and desperate to make a difference in a city now controlled by Ultor and rival gangs. His decision to get himself shanked just to get close to the boss shows both his recklessness and his determination. Carlos doesn't wait for opportunity. He creates it. By breaking the boss out of prison, he doesn't just prove his loyalty. He lights the spark that sets the entire story in motion. Without Carlos, the Saints don't rise again. That's why, in a sense, Carlos is the unsung hero of Saints Row 2. His sacrifice isn't just in his brutal death, but the way he kickstarts the gang's revival. Everything, the Brotherhood, the Ronin, the Sons of Samedi, even the battle with Ultor flows from Carlos's choice to act. While he's often remembered for his tragic end, his true legacy is that the Saints would never return without him. Carlos may not be the strongest or the smartest, but he's the one who believed in enough to risk it all, and in doing so, he becomes the game's quiet hero.
Hey, is it really you?
Do I know you?
My brother was in the Saints and he told me all about you. Listen, we gotta get you out of here.
Well, I'm sure if we ask nicely.
I know a way out.
Yeah? Then why are you still here?
I heard you were in here and I wanted to bust you out. Getting out of here is a two-man job and no one else will give it a try.
You really expect me to trust some guy I don't even know?
Come on, I just got myself shanked so I could get a chance to talk to you. Doesn't that show I'm loyal?
It shows that you're dumb enough to let yourself get stabbed.
I'm trying to help you.
You know what I got the last time I trusted someone? Blown the fuck up.
You need me.
The hell I do? I got the Saints.
Sure you do.
What's that supposed to mean?
How long do you think you've been out?
I don't know, man. 2 or 3 weeks?
Look, I know you think you're a badass, but do you even know where you're at? Without me, you'll be wandering around the prison for hours. Even if you manage to hide from the guards that long, and if you actually figure out how to make it outside these walls, you're just gonna find out that you're sitting on a goddamn island. And I'm pretty sure you can't outswim the Coast Guard.
You got a boat stashed here?
No, but I know where we're gonna steal one.
All right, let's get out of here.
Johnny Gat in Saints Row 2 is the perfect foil to the boss. While the boss starts the game cold, sarcastic, and detached, only to slowly open up and show compassion for their crew, Gat takes the opposite path. In the first game, he was still the wisecracker, dropping crude jokes, even about his own manhood.
So you're Julius's new boy, huh? You don't look like much. Then again, I don't look like I have an 8-inch cock, so I guess we're both full of surprises.
But in Saints Row 2, after Aisha's brutal death, that part of Gat dies with her. The jokes stop, the sarcasm fades, and was left as a man consumed by anger and grief. Gat's arc is one of the darkest in the entire series. Losing Aisha doesn't just push him deeper into violence, it defines him. Every bullet he fires afterward carries that weight. By the end of the game, when he's still gunning down authority figures, it's not just about rebellion or thrill-seeking anymore. It's because violence is all he still has left. Aisha was his anchor, and without her, Gat becomes a reflection of what the Saints risk turning into. Not a family, but survivors clinging to rage.
Eternal rest. May perpetual light shine on her. May her soul and the souls of all the faithful departed rest in peace.
You
You two have humiliated my family for the last time!
Leave, little boy.
Look at me when I'm talking to you!
Fuck off, Akuji. I'm not killing anyone at Isha's funeral. Tonight, tomorrow, you name a time and I will gladly fuck you up. But not now.
How noble. Nobility is sorely overrated.
Pierce Washington is the strategist of the Saints, the brains that give the gang structure when everyone else is caught up in emotion or brute force. He's sharp, calculated, and always thinking a step ahead. Yet, despite that, he's often sidelined. The boss and Gat rarely show him the respect he deserves, brushing off his plans in favor of more direct actions. That dynamic becomes one of the most interesting parts of his role in Saints Row 2. What makes Pierce so compelling is that his intelligence is both his strength and his curse. He's the one who sees the bigger picture. But because of Dex's betrayal in the first game, the boss keeps him at arm's length. They can't afford to let another smart guy get too much influence and walk away from the Saints, so Pierce becomes the underappreciated glue holding things together. He may not get the spotlight like Gad or Shandi, but without him, the Saints wouldn't have the organization or stability to rise again.
What's up with the dollhouse?
Dollhouse my ass. This is how we gonna fuck up the Ronin.
This'll be good.
Trust me, it is. The Ronin have a stake in Poseidon's palace, so I figure hitting their biggest money maker is a good way to show them we not fucking around.
Okay, so what's the plan?
You and I enter the casino here. Once inside, we need to distract this security guard. I was thinking you could catch me cheating or some shit like that. Anyway, while the guard's concerned with throwing me out, Gat'll sneak in through this security door. Don't worry, I already got today's passcode from the blackjack dealer Shandi's fucking. Now once inside, Gat'll have to sneak past the guards to cut the power. And when that happens, we only have about 45 seconds before the backup generator turns on. During the blackout, though...
Hold up, man. I mean, I love the dream house you built here and everything. But what if we just start here, walk into the casino, and just shoot all the motherfuckers that are between us and the money?
Well, you know...
It would be a lot faster.
And a lot more fun.
Yeah, but...
Fuck it, let's go. Good call, Johnny.
Shandi starts out as a free spirit of the Saints, messy, laid back, and more concerned with her roster than the serious gang life. She isn't a hardened gangster like Gat, and she doesn't have the history of someone like the boss. In many ways, she feels like a younger sibling to the boss, looking up to them for guidance, and in return, the boss almost enables her reckless side. But that dynamic changes over the course of Saints Row 2. When the boss finally puts her on ice, refusing to let her tag along, that's a turning point. Shandi takes her rejection to heart and starts to grow. She goes to the gym, sharpens her edge, and proves herself in the field. By the time she joins the boss in taking down the general, she's no longer just a drunk college girl with connections. She's a saint in every sense of the word. What makes her arc special is that the boss brings that leadership out of her. Shandi becomes a symbol of how the Saints have evolved, bringing not just muscle, but charisma, adaptability, and a modern edge that shows the gang is bigger than just raw firepower.
You gonna stand there or you gonna work out?
I get enough cardio running from the cops.
Suit yourself.
I'm surprised you can run 5 minutes without coughing up a lung, let alone 5 miles.
I'm full of surprises.
Then surprise me and tell me how we're gonna take out the general.
Well, that creep's always riding around in that limo of his, right?
Yeah.
So I figure the easiest way to find him is to go and tap into the traffic cameras at the police station.
I don't know if easiest would be the word I'd use.
Alright, so it's not the easiest way, but it's the quickest. Besides, now I get to tag along.
Are you high, or do you not remember the part where I told you I wasn't gonna babysit you?
Okay, so you're gonna hack into the traffic cameras then? Yeah, that's what I thought. Let's go, boss.
Together, they transform the Saints from a fractured memory into a force that can stand against Ultor itself. The Third Street Saints aren't just back, they're different, harder, more ruthless, and now with a new identity forged through the blood and loss, they've cemented themselves as the true kings of Stillwater.
Is this the pyramid?
Yeah, Ultor's built a huge R&D facility underneath Mount Claflin.
Let me guess, they aren't developing a better bread box.
Honestly, they probably are. They're just, you know, developing guns and body armor too.
Why's Ultor gunning for us?
It doesn't matter. Here's the plan. Pierce and Shandi, I want the two of you to hit the streets and take out as much Ultor property as you can. If Ultor wants to come after us, fine. But we're gonna make it fucking cost him. Gat, you and I are gonna hit the pyramid.
What, we don't get to blow shit up in public?
Fine. We could do some damage street side, but we gotta be quick. I don't want to give Ultor any more of a heads up than we have to.
The Brotherhood in Saints Row 2 are built on intimidation and muscle. Led by the towering Marrow, they control the Stillwater shipyards and turn blue-collar grit into organized chaos. Unlike the Ronin, who hide behind honor, or the Sons of Samedi, who profit through drugs, the Brotherhood make their presence known through brute force, heavy machinery, and sheer violence. Their empire thrives on protection rackets, drug running, and smuggling, anything that puts power directly into their hands. Appearance is everything to them. Tattoos aren't just decoration, but symbols of loyalty and pain, etched into the flesh to prove allegiance. That obsession with ink even becomes their undoing when the boss poisons Marrow's tattoo, showing that pride can become weakness. The Brotherhood style also sets them apart. Trucks, muscle cars, and heavy weaponry dominate their arsenal, tying them closely to real-world biker gangs. This mirrors Saints Row 1's Los Canales. Both gangs tied their power to machinery, vehicles, and drug networks, but the Brotherhood cranks it up to 11 with raw spectacle. Their story is often marked by tragedy and miscalculation. Jessica, the only high-ranking female member across any of the gangs in Saints Row 2, becomes a pawn in the Saints' revenge after Carlos's death, which sends Marrow into a spiral of rage. Donnie, their mechanic, returns from Saints Row 1 and once again finds himself out of his depth, caught between loyalty and survival. The Brotherhood have the muscle to dominate the streets, but the Saints prove strength without foresight is destined to collapse. Members of the Brotherhood included Marrow, who was the leader of the Brotherhood and was feared for his size, brutality, and violent temper. Jessica, Marrow's girlfriend and high-ranking member, whose death triggers the Brotherhood's decline. Donnie, the mechanic from Saints Row 1, loyal but always in over his head. In the end, the Brotherhood represent the dangers of relying on fear and brute strength alone. They had the trucks, the firepower, and the muscle to dominate Stillwater, but no strategy to sustain it. Pride blinded Marrow, Jessica's recklessness cost him dearly, and Donnie was never built for the life he chose. Against the reborn Saints, the Brotherhood's empire crumbled under its own weight, proving that raw intimidation might win battles, but it can't win a war.
So here we are.
Jesus, it's like a coked up sideshow.
Pretty impressive, huh?
Aren't you worried about being in the open?
People know to stay away. How's my truck coming?
It'll be ready for the competition.
Thanks, Donnie.
You know that guy?
Later.
You're back!
Come on. You expected anything less?
Hi, I'm Jessica.
Nice to meet you.
Hey, I'm Carlos.
I'm still Jessica. You know, you remind me of my old house cleaner. I'm kidding. I was kidding.
Babe, you want to count the cash?
Sure.
Yo, Matt, you ready to work?
Hey, aren't you the guitarist for the Feed Dogs?
Don't encourage him.
Listen, lady, you guys met at one of my concerts, so I don't want to hear it.
Don't you think you have enough tattoos?
Brother, I got a lot of canvas left. So let's get back to business. The Brotherhood is about to come into something big, and I think the Saints are going to want to get in on the ground floor.
So what's the offer?
2080.
I'm assuming I get the 80?
Yeah, sure you do.
You really expect me to take 20 and say thanks?
On your hands and fucking knees.
Is this a joke? I used to own...
Used to is right. Time's passed you by. Now you're a has-been with some burn scars.
I suggest you shut the fuck up before...
You're kidding me, right?
Hey man, be cool.
You really think that a couple of washed-up bangers like you and Gat have a chance against the Brotherhood?
We'll see. Let's go, Carlos.
Honey, you want me to have someone take care of them?
Nah. They'll be dead soon enough.
The Ronin in Saints Row 2 bring a unique mix of tradition and arrogance. On the surface, their flashy gang built around Japanese icons, yellow bikes, sharp suits, and katanas, led by Shoga Okuji and his father Kazuyo. The Ronin lean into their Yakuza-inspired roots, presenting themselves as a criminal organization with history and discipline. But beneath the honor and style is dysfunction, immaturity, and hubris. Shogo in particular is reckless and spoiled, dragging the gang into unnecessary conflicts that ultimately doom them. Their image is what makes them stand out. They roll through Stillwater in packs of motorcycles, wielding katanas like symbols of superiority. It's more than just weapons, it's branding. You could even point out that the Ronin are a direct nod to Japanese cinema and Kill Bill, being stylized in violence with gangland posturing. But their obsession with appearance and theatrics often outweighs strategy. While Mr. Okuji operates with calculated patience, Shogo is careless, and Junichi's loyalty is stretched thin, trying to hold the gang together. The Ronin story is also marked by deeply personal stakes. Gat and Aisha's arc collides with them, and Shogo's arrogance leads to one of the most tragic deaths in the game, Aisha's execution. From that moment on, the feud between the Saints and the Ronin becomes less about turf and more about revenge. In a way, the Ronin embodied the Saints' darkest reflections, a gang obsessed with image led by a weak figurehead sustained by tradition rather than vision. They're not unlike the Vice Kings, powerful but doomed to crack under the weight of ego and betrayal. The members of the gang include Kazuya Okuji, an international leader of the Ronin, embodying patience and tradition, Shogo Okuji, the local leader in Stillwater, who's reckless, arrogant, and ultimately responsible for the gang's downfall. Fun fact, he's also voiced by the same voice actor that does Sasuke in Naruto. Junichi, Kazuyo's right hand, loyal but torn between honor and frustration with Shogo's incompetence. In the end, the Ronin proved that the image without substance can't hold power. They dressed themselves in tradition, rode through Stillwater with style, and tried to intimidate with swords and ceremony, but their leadership was fractured. Mr. Okuji was too far removed, Junichi was too bound by duty, and Shogo was nothing but arrogance wrapped in silk. Their obsession with honor became a weakness, and their obsession with appearance blinded them to reality. Against the focused Saints, the Ronins were never truly a match, and in the end, they collapsed under the weight of their own pride.
このカジノの権利権は、アクジさんはちょっと。
Junichi, you need to relax.
アクジさんから隠すのは無理なのでは。
My father won't find out about the casino.
そんなに甘くはないです。
Don't question me, Junichi. And we're in America. Speak English.
Forgive me, Shogo.
A little jumpy today? Over there. Sword. Listen, Junichi. I know you're having a hard time adjusting to the way I run things here. But how about you let me deal with my father, and you deal with whatever the fuck I tell you to deal with?
Of course, Shogo.
Excellent.
The Sons of Samedi stand apart from other gangs in Saints Row 2. Where the Brotherhood ruled through muscle and the Ronin lean on tradition, the Samedi thrive through vice, specifically their product, Loa Dust. They are less about honor or territory and more about economics, using drugs to keep Stillwater under their thumb. Their identity is deeply tied to Haitian voodoo culture. The gang's very name comes from Baron Samedi, the voodoo lord of the dead, a figure immortalized in Haiti's history through Francois Doliver's regime, which often fused politics and voodoo imagery. Even their drug, Loa Dust, takes a name from the lower spirits of voodoo, emphasizing how the gang blends crime with ritualistic identity. The Sons of Samedi draw direct inspiration from real-world Afro-Cuban criminal organizations. They mirror the Haitian Zopound gang in Miami and even resemble the Jamaican voodoo posse depicted in Predator 2, which itself was based on violent Caribbean poses that operated in the U.S. cities during the 80s and 90s. This grounding makes the Samedi feel less stylized than the Ronin or Brotherhood and more rooted in the urban drug cartels of reality. And unlike every other gang in Stillwater, the Samedi never bargain or strike alliances with Ultor. They remain independent to the very end, their only concern being the spread of Loa Dust and the money it generates. But that independence is also their downfall. The general commands the gang with ruthless focus, and Mr. Sunshine acts as his right hand. They put too much faith in their product and their mystique. Their drug-fueled empire makes them powerful, but also vulnerable. As the boss and Shawnee systemically dismantled their operation from the farms to the labs. Without allies and with their identity tied too lightly to Loa Dust, the Samedi crumble once their supply lines are destroyed. The members of the gang include the General, who's the leader of the gang, calculating and ruthless in his control over the Samedi, Mr. Sunshine, his right-hand man, feared for his voodoo and eerie calmness, Veteran Child, a DJ who works as a distributor, serving as a bridge between the Samedi's product and Stillwater's party culture. In the end, the Sons of Samedi represent the hollow power of vice. They built their empire not on loyalty or tradition, but on addiction, using Loa Dust to control Stillwater streets. Their ties to voodoo gave them an aura of mystique, but when the drugs stopped flowing, the influence crumbled. Unlike the Brotherhood or the Ronin, they had no alliances, no fallback plan, and no vision beyond their product. Once the boss cut off their supply, the Samedi were exposed for what they truly were, a cartel with no foundation, undone by the very dust they peddled.
Gentlemen, how was business today?
Here's today's take.
There are many singles where 50 should be.
Yeah, about that. I couldn't get a hold of some of my guys.
These men steal from the General?
No, I'm not saying they're stealing. Yo, Papa Shango, I'm talking to the General.
On the streets, you may be a popular DJ, Veteran Child. But when you're in this car, you do well to remember your place.
My place?
My friends, please be civil. Veteran Child, look into the matter of the missing money. If one of your bag boys is indeed alive, take one of his hands. I doubt he will be late again. If he is not alive, I think we have a greater problem.
You want me to cut off some dude's hand?
If he stole from me, he needs to learn.
Yeah, that makes, sense.
Is there a problem?
No! I mean, it's no problem. I got this.
Ultor is the final and most dangerous gang in Saints Row 2, though calling them a gang undersells their power. In the first game, they were just a clothing company, a stylish logo slapped on apparel around Stillwater. But by the time Saints Row 2 begins, they've grown into a sprawling corporate empire with influence over real estate, media, law enforcement, and even private military. Unlike the Brotherhood, Ronin, or Samedi, Ultor doesn't just fight for territory. They reshape the city itself, bending entire systems to their will. Ultor's roots stretch back further than Saints Row. The name and logo were first introduced in Red Faction, another Volition series where Ultor was a missing corporation on Mars. The logo itself resembled a continuous mining blade, symbolizing their hunger to consume resources. The name Ultor is Latin for Avenger, referencing Mars Ultor, the Roman god of war, an eerie foreshadowing of how they would evolve in Stillwater, becoming a corporate war machine. That transformation from fashion brand to mega corporation shows the real theme behind Ultor, power disguised as progress. What makes Ultor so effective as an antagonist is that they don't play by gang rules. Dane Vogel doesn't need turf or muscle cars. He uses property value, politics, and private armies to control the city. He treats the Saints not as rivals, but as pawns on a chessboard. And the betrayal stings even more because Ultor managed to poach Dex, one of the Saints' former lieutenants.
What's up, Dex? I know you're a cop. Fuck you talking about? Come on, man. Who you think you talking to? The tactics, the police station thing, your shitty haircut? You got cop written all over you.
So, what are you gonna do?
Nothing. What? I'm out, Troy. I got offered a job at Ultor. I'm dropping my flags and I'm going straight. I just want to make sure that we're not going to have a problem.
Ultor represents the Saints' greatest challenge, not because they're stronger, but because they're everywhere. They're the corporation that owns the streets, the cops, the media, and even the narrative. Against the gangs, the boss was fighting equals. Against Ultor, the boss was fighting the system itself.
Mr. Vogel, will you be needing a car to take you to the party? Sir?
Oh, that's all right, Jamie. I think I'm gonna skip it this year. Oh, and Jamie?
Yes, sir?
Please move my things to my new office and set up a press conference.
You were promoted, Mr. Vogel?
I'm about to be.
When it comes to gameplay, Saints Row 2 feels like a natural evolution from the first game, but with a philosophy that leaned more into freedom and fun. Where Saints Row 1 laid the groundwork, Saints Row 2 expanded nearly every system, sometimes at the cost of polish, but always in favor of variety. Reviewers at the time praised its balance, often calling it the true successor to Grand Theft Auto San Andreas because of how much you could do beyond just the main missions. Whether you were skydiving, jet skiing, throwing yourself into traffic for insurance fraud, or customizing your character down to their taunts and voice, the game's identity was built on choice. Customization was one of the most celebrated aspects. Unlike the first game, where you were mostly a silent stand-in, here you could craft your own version of the boss, male or female, with adjustable accents, taunts, and an endless wardrobe of clothing. Critics noted that this level of expression helped immerse players in Stillwater, even if some argued that the clothing physics and variety were stronger in the first game. Still, the sheer scale of options in Saints Row 2 gave it personality that GTA never offered. Combat also saw major refinements. The cover system was praised as smoother and more practical than GTA 4's at the time, and the ability to dual-wield weapons gave shootouts a more frantic pace that matched the game's over-the-top tone. Vehicles felt more arcade-like compared to the first entry, with motorcycles, helicopters, and planes added to the mix, though some players found the physics jumpy. Even so, the freedom to race across the land, sea, and sky kept the gameplay fresh. Activities became the backbone of replay value. The game recycled classics from the first, like insurance fraud, but added diversions like Fuzz, where you play as a reality TV cop dishing out excessive force, and Septic Avenger, which literally had you spray sewage across Stillwater to drive down property values. Critics constantly pointed out how these activities didn't just feel like filler, they added charm and character, making the world itself part of the joke. Compared to the punishing difficulty of Saints Row 1's side missions, Saints Row 2 leaned towards accessibility with shorter, fun-focused bursts that made you want to keep experimenting. The biggest change came in the world of Stillwater itself. Thanks to Ultor's urban expansion, districts were rebuilt. The airport was transformed into a full international hub, and the old Saints Row was demolished and turned into a corporate playground. This meant exploring the city felt fresh again. Polluted docks, new suburban sprawl, and revamped hotspots gave you plenty of playgrounds to cause chaos. Even if some fans preferred the greener, grittier look of Saints Row 1, most agreed that Saints Row 2's redesigned Stillwater felt bigger and more alive. One of the things that kept Saints Row 2 so addictive was its reward system. Every corner of Stillwater seemed to hold something new to unlock, and it wasn't just about weapons or vehicles. It was about identity. Completing activities or side hustles didn't just pad your wallet, they gave you real incentives. Exclusive cars like the Duke, a customized bootlegger unlocked after clearing all 80 stunt jumps, or gang cars tied to the Brotherhood, Ronin, and Sons of Samedi once their storylines wrapped up. Activities would net you game-changing perks too, like unlimited sprint through insurance fraud, infinite ammo for specific weapons, or discounts at stores, and mechanics that made the grind feel worthwhile. Even cosmetic rewards from Avenger jackets to traffic cone hats added flair, making your boss feel like they earned their stripes through blood and chaos. But none of these rewards matter if you didn't understand the backbone of the game, the respect system. Unlike a lot of sandbox titles where you can burn through the campaign at will, Saints Row 2 locked progress behind respect just like the first game. That meant you couldn't just mainline story missions, you had to engage with the world, whether it was Septic Avenger, throwing yourself into traffic for insurance fraud, running escort jobs, or you're just taunting people after you knock them dead. These activities and diversions weren't just distractions, they were the fuel that pushed the narrative forward. Every mission required a certain level of respect, so to earn the right to fight Mero, Shogo, or the General, you had to get your hands dirty first. The structure gave the side content weight. Respect wasn't just a number, it was proof of your grind through Stillwater's chaos, and because of that, unlockables carried more meaning too. Infinite ammo, notoriety reductions, melee weapons like chainsaw or shock paddles. These weren't cheats, they were badges of honor for fully diving into the activities Volition built. Online badges work the same way, rewarding specific playstyles in multiplayer with titles like Brain Surgeon or Road Rage. These systems gave Saints Row 2 layers of replayability. You weren't just playing for the story, you were carving out your own identity in Stillwater, one unlockable at a time. While unlockables and the respect system gave Saints Row 2 its addictive loop, what really made it click was how much smoother and player-friendly the game became compared to the first. Volition clearly listened to the feedback from Saints Row 1 and made improvements that kept players hooked without frustration. For starters, Saints Row 2 introduced autosave and checkpoints, two features the first game lacked. No longer did you have to replay the entire mission from scratch if you failed at the last minute. Most missions included built-in checkpoints, letting you pick up right where things went wrong. Autosaving after activities and missions also cut down on lost progress, which was a blessing in such a massive open world. The game also added mission retry options, making it quick and painless to jump into a failed objective instead of slogging back across Stillwater. Even small touches like pausing cutscenes, better menu for tracking stats and objectives, and more responsive controls help polish the overall flow. These may sound minor, but they made a huge difference at the time, especially in a game that leans so heavily on side activities and diversions. Combined with the respect system, these upgrades made Saints Row 2 feel like it was constantly rewarding your time, whether you were chasing discounts or simply grinding to access the next big mission. The game respected your effort by never wasting it. It created a rhythm where exploration, chaos, and story progression all felt seamlessly tied together. An evolution that solidifies Saints Row 2 as more than just a GTA competitor, but a fully player-first experience. If there was one criticism echoed, it was performance. Frame rate dips, washed out visuals, and stiffer NPC models compared to the first game made it feel technically rougher, but the overwhelming consensus was that none of this mattered when the game was so much fun. One reviewer put it, GTA 4 gave you chores, while Saints Row 2 gave you reasons to laugh, experiment, and come back for more. Saints Row 2 first launched on October 14, 2008 in North America, followed 2 days later in Australia, and finally on October 17th in 2008 for Europe. The game arrived on both the Xbox 360 and the PlayStation 3, but with many multi-platform releases of that era, one version came out slightly ahead in terms of performance. The Xbox 360 version is generally considered the best of the two. It featured sharper visuals, cleaner anti-aliasing, and faster loading times. Frame rates held up a little better here, and lighting effects look slightly more polished. That said, neither console version hit a full 720p resolution. Both versions suffer from frequent screen tearing, something players back then just had to live with. The PlayStation 3 version, while offering the same gameplay and features, didn't fare quite as well under the hood. It had more noticeable anti-aliasing, giving characters and environments a jagged look, but with blurrier edges due to its different anti-aliasing method. Loading screens also dragged a bit longer, and frame dips were more common compared to the 360. Still, outside of these technical shortcomings, the overall experience remained intact. Both versions kept Saints Row 2's identity and content consistent across platforms. Now let's talk about the elephant in the room. Saints Row 2 dropped on January 5th, 2009 for North American markets, January 23rd for European markets, and finally February 5th for Australian markets. Now, while the console versions had their issues, nothing compares to the disaster that was the PC port. From day one, this version was plagued with catastrophic performance problems. The engine was tied to your system's clock speed, meaning if the game wasn't locked to 30 frames per second, physics would desync, cars would bounce uncontrollably, characters would bug out, and missions could straight up break. Even powerful modern hardware struggles with wild frame rate drops, micro stuttering, and constant instability. On top of that, the PC build came loaded with widespread bugs and crashes. Menus and controls were awkwardly lifted straight from the console layouts. Random glitches constantly interrupted gameplay, and crashes were near a guarantee. To make matters worse, the game shipped with terribly compensated 22 kHz mono audio, making voices and music sound muddy compared to the console versions. The port's biggest issue, though, was that it happened to be behind the scenes. The PC version was outsourced to CD Projekt instead of being handled by Volition directly, and somewhere along the way, the original source code was lost. That meant no meaningful patches or fixes could ever be made. Any hope of a proper update died with Volition's closure and the tragic passing of Idle Ninja, the fan developer who carried the torch with community patches. Multiplayer didn't fare much better. The unstable GameSpy servers were shut down years ago, and even with fan replacements, the network code is so broken that only basic co-op is even remotely reliable. The competitive multiplayer is essentially dead. The only saving grace comes from mods. Community fixes like Gentlemen of the Row and the Juice Patch managed to stabilize the game just enough to be playable. But even with heavy modding, the PC port never reaches the level of consistency the consoles offered. In the end, the PC port of Saints Row has gone down as one of the infamously bad PC releases of its generation. Poor performance, broken audio, unstable multiplayer, and the loss of the source code left it in a permanently unfinished state. For most players, the 360 version remains the definitive way to play, while the PC port stands as a cautionary tale about how bad outsourcing and lack of developer support can be. When Saints Row 2 hit shelves, the response was split depending on where you played it. On consoles, both the 360 and the PS3 version received generally favorable reviews. According to Metacritic, while the PC port landed in the mixed or average category, thanks to its performance issues. Most critics praised the console releases for leaning into the over-the-top chaos. Eurogamer scored it a 9 out of 10, calling it one of the most ridiculous and enjoyable games of the year, while Game Informer gave it an 8.75 out of 10, celebrating its silly B-movie energy. GameSpot awarded it an 8 out of 10, highlighting how the game kept players happily creating havoc for a long time. And GameSpy went even further. 4.5 stars out of 5, applauding its mix of shooting, driving, and irreverent humor. IGN's outlets were a bit more tempered, with scores ranging from 7.5 to 8.2 across regions, but all agreed that the gameplay itself was undeniably fun. Of course, not everyone was impressed. Edge magazine famously gave the game a 5 out of 10, saying that while it offered toys to play with, few of the game's details will stick in your mind for long. Entertainment Weekly went even harsher, naming it the worst game of 2008, calling it racist, misogynistic, crude, cynical, humorless, and stupid, despite the fact that they had previously given it a B. Outside the press, controversy surrounding the game's release. New York officials and the NYPD called for it to be pulled from shelves, citing its violent and criminal themes. Union boss Patrick Lynch argued it desensitizes young people to violence and glorifies immoral behavior. Anti-game activist Jack Thompson, the man amid the legend, dismissed it outright as a Grand Theft Auto ripoff, claiming like pornography it was pushing the envelope with each release. Even political figures weighed in. Leslie Crocker Snyder used the game as a talking point during her campaign. Governor David Patterson signed a bill mandating stronger parental controls in the years that followed. Yet, despite the controversy, and in some ways because of it, Saints Row 2 was a commercial success. The game sold about 365 copies in its first month, outselling EA's Dead Space, which launched the same day. By the end of 2008, it had shipped over 2 million units, and after the PC release in early 2009, sales hit 2.6 million within a month. By May of that year, numbers climbed to 2.8 million, and by 2010, Saints Row 2 had passed 3.4 million copies worldwide. Combined with the first game, the series had crossed over 6 million sales, enough to push THQ to shift focus towards bigger franchises and cement Saints Row as one of its crown jewels. And if you want proof of how beloved it was, look no further than the escapist Zero Punctuation. Yahtzee Crawshaw himself crowned Saints Row 2 his 2008 Game of the Year, a title no GTA clone could ever claim. While critics often focused on Saints Row 2's tone and scope, players themselves highlighted how the game felt to actually sit down and play. For many, it struck the perfect balance between freedom and chaos. One reviewer praised how you could just do anything, really, from buying cars and beer to starting trouble on the streets, making the world feel alive in a way GTA didn't always match. Others pointed out that it wasn't flawless. Some noticed odd bugs, clunky physics, and AI that could break immersion, but even then, the sheer variety of activities and the wild sandbox fun made those frustrations easier to overlook. What stood out across impressions was how personal and player-driven the experience felt. Whether it was deep customization, experimenting with missions, or simply causing havoc in Stillwater, Saints Row 2 gave players a sense of ownership over the chaos, and that's what made it stick. Okay, so understand, this was my favorite Saints Row, partially because it was my first. I knew absolutely nothing about the original when I picked this up, so a lot of the deeper context didn't click with me until years later. But even as a kid, my first thought wasn't, oh, this is just a GTA clone. My first thought was innovation. Saints Row 2 felt like an opus. It was fun, wild, emotional, and if you were connected with the characters, it hits even harder. And for me, that connection came instantly. I didn't need to know Johnny Gat's whole backstory to respect what the game was doing. And much like somebody that commented on my Saints Row 1 video, there's something special about Saints Row 2. Because you're looking at this game and you realize you can make whatever person you want to make. There is literally an entire community of YouTubers that actually sat down and broke down how to make custom people. Like, because of that community, I was able to make Michael Jackson, and I had a blast playing this game again. And that customization right there is what you can say makes Saints Row 2 special. Another thing that it does is it doesn't shut out new players. It invites them in. You can jump into any of the big four Saints Row games and enjoy the story as is. But when you go back and play the others, the whole picture starts to change. That's what I feel now, especially coming off of Saints Row 2006. I understand Troy more, Gat more, even Dex. Back then, I saw it as a great open world ride. Now, I see the layers. I see why people tried to drag the GTA clone label from under it. But honestly, while GTA defined the open world genre, Saints Row created its own lane. And that's the real power of Saints Row 2. Just like Player becoming the boss and giving the Saints an identity, Volition was finding their own identity too. This wasn't about escaping GTA Shadow. It was about becoming something entirely different. And they pulled it off. If you ask 100 people who've played every Saints Row which one stands the tallest, I guarantee half or more than half will call this the series opus, the game that gave the Saints and Volition a name, a voice, a vision, and most importantly, an identity. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for rocking with me once again. If you enjoyed the video or learned something new, hit that like button. And if you want to tag along on this 10K journey, you could join the team by subscribing. If you want to support the channel and you're feeling a little generous, you can always buy me a cup of coffee. Next week, we're tackling GTA Vice City stories. And in 2 weeks, we'll be back with Saints Row the Third. I hope to catch you soon. This is the Retro Phantom, signing out.